terror camps. Even after that, India had sent a very stern message that India is all about de-escalation, but this should be on proper terms. We did see that the de-escalation happened. Eventually, both the countries agreed, and there was no third-party interference in the ceasefire agreement. Also, India had given military and non-military response. In military response, it was said that India had neutralized 9 terrorist camps. We did see the pictures that the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri showed while doing the press briefing with media. Also, not just that, India had in fact also put hold on the India's water treaty, and India has also, after this whole attack, has said that any act of terrorism will be seen as an act of war. We do know that there has been multiple attacks on terror attacks on the Indian soil, and how India has retaliated till now. By sending this multi-party delegation, India is making it stand clear all around the globe that this is a country which is focusing on economic development. But if any terror attack strikes our country, India is perfectly capable of defending itself and retaliating the terror attacks with equal force. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anushka, for joining us with all those details. We will obviously keep coming back to you. Now, ex-diplomat Syed Akbuddin, who is part of the all-party delegation, spoke exclusively to my colleague Maria Shakil. Listen in.
How crucial is it for India to ensure that the global audience receives accurate information about Operation Sindoor's objectives and outcomes?
So, Maya, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to engage with you. As you said, from a global perspective, the issue is that as the world has become very volatile and uncertain, what has happened is different parts of the world have now different priorities. And so the emphasis that which was put on counterterrorism, say, following 9/11, has slipped in the pantheon of topics that different regions address. So some countries are now focused on tariffs, some others on trade, some on technology. India on all three, plus one other major issue, that's terrorism. Now, this is unique to our situation because we have a state sponsor of terrorism across our border who veils terrorists under the garb of sovereign decision-making. So what the effort is to try and portray our unique circumstances to the rest of the world. Because it's not very easy for people to understand that why is terrorism back in India or in this region as a major scourge? Because the rest of the world has moved on. So this is an effort to encompass a larger segment of societies in different countries and to sensitize that the world from South Asia looks different. That's one aspect. A second aspect is that, our general feeling is that we have a pause between provocations from Pakistan. So we need to utilize this pause in a very calibrated manner by sensitizing others. Because usually people come and say, please exercise restraint when you are confronted with a terror attack. So our philosophy now is that we would like to tell them in advance, our policy is not restraint, but resolve in addressing counter-terror. We will take punitive action if our people are targeted. And therefore, please sensitize everybody that if there is restraint, it should be counsel to Pakistan, because our restraint our restraint over the last 20 plus years should not be taken as an inability of resolve. So that's the second big item that we are focusing on. It is preventive in nature. It is forward-looking, not backward-looking. So these are the two big items that we would like to focus on from a global perspective.
The Defence Minister hailed our armed forces for their valour and spirit to counter terrorism. Raksha Mantri hailed the success of Operation Sindoor and precise action by Indian Army. Remember, India hit the terror bases inside Pakistan and completely wiped it out. Listen in to what Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had to say.
भारत ने पिछले आतंकवाद के विरुद्ध ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की शुरुआत की थी और सफलतापूर्वक पाकिस्तान में मौजूद आतंकवादियों के ठिकानों पर प्रहार किया और बड़ी संख्या में आतंकवादियों का सफाया करने में कामयाबी हासिल की। हमारी भारतीय सेनाओं ने एक कुशल डॉक्टर और सर्जन की तरह काम किया है। जैसे एक कुशल सर्जन जहां बीमारी की जड़ मौजूद होती है वहीं अपने औजारों का इस्तेमाल करता है, वैसे ही भारतीय सेनाओं ने भी बड़ी सटीकता के साथ आतंकवाद की जड़ों पर अपने हथियारों का इस्तेमाल किया है।
And now moving our focus to Telangana. Telangana Chief Secretary K. Ramakrishnan Rao has issued a directive to all officers in the state, government employees of all India and state services about appropriate behavior in public meeting and threaten disciplinary action for any violation that compromise the dignity and image of the official and the post. This after an IS officer was seen reaching out to the CM's feet to seek his blessings. I'm being joined by my colleague Uma Sudhir on the phone line. Uma, what specific guidelines has Telangana Chief Secretary issued to government employees regarding behavior in public meeting, and what prompted this directive?
See, Telangana's new Chief Secretary, Mr. Ramakrishna Rao, has issued this directives, and he has said it for not just the All India Service officers, but also for the Telangana state officers as well. And we are told that he has even passed on his message to the Director General of Police, telling him to issue instructions to all police officers, saying that in recent times it has come to the notice of the government that All India Service officers and other officers are indulging in acts and gestures that are unbecoming of a member of the service at public meetings or at gatherings, and that they will reflect poorly on the service officers and also impact the image of the service, undermining the public's faith in the individual's ability to serve. And they say that all officers should maintain absolute integrity and devotion to duty and do nothing that is unbecoming of them, and maintain a high level of professionalism, integrity and decorum in their official capacity as well as in their public interactions, so that the trust and confidence of the public is not broken. While he has not made any mention of any particular incident, it is being related to an incident that happened just a couple of days ago when the Chief Minister had gone to one of the districts and the Tribal Welfare Department Secretary was seen to be bowing, in a sense, to the Chief Minister, and that is seen as one of the triggers, though the Chief Secretary in his letter says that he has seen multiple instances of behavior that is unbecoming of officers, and therefore said that if you do not adhere to these kind of norms that are expected of you, action can be taken under, disciplinary action can be taken under the conduct rules. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, Uma, for giving us all those details. Okay, time for a short break now. News and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered. where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
In the last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Denzil Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
These are the visuals that are coming in. Let's go full frame with it.
For every big news story,
from Jammu.
You can't defend the indefensible.
Welcome back. Mumbai and Pune experienced unseasonal heavy rainfall accompanied by gusty winds, thunderstorm and lightning late evening. Of course, this brought much needed relief from the scorching heat but triggered widespread waterlogging and traffic chaos. The weather department issued yellow and orange alerts and warned of similar weather conditions for 4 days from Wednesday in parts of the state. I'm being joined by my colleague Anuj Raite at this moment. Anuj, what's the weather situation like? What are you learning after heavy rainfall in Mumbai and parts of Pune yesterday? How is the weather situation right now, and how is the department gearing up by keeping all the roads and especially the traffic situation in place?
Shubhangi, it is, of course, it is the 21st, and this is the day which is very instrumental as far as the warning given by the IMD is concerned. But as you can see in my background, it is as dry as a summer morning here at Andheri, and this place becomes very important because we saw all those dramatic visuals coming out last night about the roads getting waterlogged and water causing a lot of traffic congestion in different parts of the suburban areas of Mumbai city. But that stopped after midnight. The reason is that the rainfall that was experienced in Mumbai for the majority of the parts was mostly for an hour and a half, and later the reason for the waterlogging was the fact that the low-lying areas still do not have the best of the drainage system. Well, that is one part of the problem. The other thing that we need to look at is that IMD has issued an alert for a majority of Maharashtra from 21st of May till the 24th of May. Now, different parts of the state have been given different kinds of alerts. As far as cities which experienced more rainfall in last 24 to 48 hours are concerned, especially Solapur, Satara, Sangli, Mumbai, parts of Mumbai rather, Pune and Nashik. These places have now been put under yellow alert. So that's a bit of a relief for those who have been struggling to make the ends days meet with the rainfall. But the other regions, like certain parts of Marathwada, you've got some parts of Pune, Ahilyabai Nagar, Kolhapur, and a majority of the regions in Konkan region, they have still been put under the orange alert, which means that these areas will be closely monitored by the authorities as far as the rainfall and the heavy thunderstorms is concerned. More importantly, as far as the administrative approach is concerned, today the Chief Minister of Maharashtra will be addressing a preview meeting to understand what exactly is the development of the different municipal corporation bodies when it comes to them understanding and approaching the situation with more resourcefulness. We know that last year's monsoon wasn't the best for Mumbai. The city also lost a few lives because of potholes being open and because of the uncontrolled drainage system that was there in place. close in majority of the city's area, mostly the suburban areas. So to counter that, the Chief Minister and his office is trying to make sure that as many instructions are possible, they are given to the local authorities and precautions are maintained at least 1 week before rainfall officially comes to the state. Back to the studio.
Right, Anuj. Thank you for jotting out all those details for our viewers. We'll keep coming back to you for taking all the weather updates. Now from Mumbai, shifting our focus to Bengaluru, which has been reeling with waterlogging and civic apathy. Now, Karnataka Deputy CM D.K. Shivkumar has taken stock of the situation. He visited flood-hit areas yesterday and he assured new law for Bengaluru when it comes to basement safety. He said and he assured to the people of Bengaluru that no basements will be there in low-lying area. This comes in the backdrop of when 2 people were killed when a basement in Bengaluru flooded. Listen in to what D.K. Shivkumar said when he met the electrocuted victim's family.
ಲೈನ್ ಏರಿಯಾಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅನುಭವ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂತಹ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಕಾನೂನೇ ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನದು ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡದೆ ಕಾರ್ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋರಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಮನೆಗಳ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಏಕೆಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಈ ಥರ ಪಂಪ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀರು ಮುಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ನೆನೆ ರಾಯರೋಶಿ ನಗರದಲ್ಲೂ ನೆನೆ ಗಮನಿಸಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಮುಂದಿನ ಇದರಲ್ಲೇ ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ.
Now shifting our focus to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has asked petitioners challenging the Waqf law to present a compelling case for interim relief, emphasizing the presumption of constitutionality of statute. Now the petitioners argue that the Waqf law enables systematic appropriation of the Waqf properties, dilutes Muslim representation and restricts legal remedies. The Waqf law was challenged in the top court. Please challenge the validity of Waqf law, and remember the centre continue to defend the Waqf amendments which were made some months ago. Now these plea in the Supreme Court basically seeks interim relief when it comes to the whole amendment which the centre did when it comes to the Waqf law. The Supreme Court made it clear that it can't interfere unless there's a glaring case. The Supreme Court is all set to resume the hearing in the matter today. Now moving on to some international news. In a dramatic Oval Office announcement, Donald Trump unveiled his boldest military move yet in his second term, a $175 billion plan to build an ultra-ambitious missile defense system dubbed the Golden Dome. Trump seated with a poster next to him showing the continental US painted gold and with artistic depiction of missile interception said, and I quote, "This is very important for the success and even survival of our country." He said the system will be entirely made in the United States.
In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors.
And now Indian writer, lawyer and activist Banu Mushtaq has scripted history by winning the International Booker Prize award at the International Booker Prize. Her short story anthology Heart Lamp, it is the first book written in the Kannada language which is spoken in the southern Indian state of Karnataka. She won this prestigious prize featuring 12 short stories written by Mushtaq over 3 decades from 1990 to 2023. Heartland captures stories of Muslim women living in the southern India. Time for a short break here. News and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24x7.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24x7.
In today's interconnected world, India
You are watching the World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar, Bawa. We've got an action-packed bulletin lined up for you. Let's begin with the top stories you need to know. The United States has selected a design for the futuristic Golden Dome missile defense system. The US President Donald Trump has said, adding that it will be operational by the end of his time in office. UK-Israeli relations have plunged to their worst state for decades after the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy suspended negotiations over a new free trade deal, saying Israel's cabinet minister's calls to purify Gaza by expelling Palestinians were repellent, monstrous, and extremist. Indian writer, lawyer, activist Banu Mushtaq has scripted history by winning the International Booker Prize for the short story anthology Heartland. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar is on a three-nation European tour. His first overseas visit after the India-Pakistan conflict. He has met delegates in the Netherlands and is scheduled to visit Denmark and Germany. Over the last few weeks, COVID-19 cases have surged in Asia, particularly in Thailand, Singapore and Hong Kong. While populations in these countries are witnessing increased hospitalizations, India is seeing a mild uptick. As per reports, Apple's supplier Foxconn will invest $1.5 billion in its India unit as the iPhone maker shifts more manufacturing out of tariff-hit China. Well, what if America could actually shoot down missiles launched from space or intercept a nuclear warhead hurtling from the other side of the globe? Sounds like science fiction to many, but not to President Donald Trump. In a dramatic Oval Office announcement, Donald Trump unveiled his boldest military move yet in his second term, a $175 billion plan to build an ultra-ambitious missile defense system dubbed the Golden Dome. And no, it's not just a shinier version of Israel's Iron Dome. Trump claims this one can track and destroy threats from anywhere, even outer space. Trump, seated with a poster next to him showing the continental US painted gold and with artistic depictions of missile interception, said, "This is very important for the success and even survival of our country." He said that system will be entirely made in the US. It's an evil world out there, the president declared, flanked by the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and US Space Force generals, as he sold his vision of a next-gen, globe-spanning missile shield, a space-age umbrella to protect the American homeland. But what exactly is the catch, and can it actually work? Well, some experts and analysts are questioning that. But just listen in to the US president's detailed remarks.
In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors.
In other news, UK-Israeli relations have plunged to their worst state for decades after the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy suspended negotiations over a new free trade deal, saying Israel's cabinet minister's calls to purify Gaza by expelling Palestinians were repellent, monstrous, and extremist. He also said wider talks about a future bilateral strategic roadmap with Israel were being reviewed, but at the same time, EU foreign ministers meeting in Brussels decided to review the bloc's trade agreement with Israel. Before we go across to Ollie Barrett's report, listen in to what David Lammy had to say, followed by the EU foreign policy chief's reaction.
Therefore, today, I'm announcing that we have suspended negotiations with this Israeli government on a new free trade agreement. We will be reviewing cooperation with them under the 2030 bilateral roadmap. The Netanyahu's government's actions have made this necessary. Madam Deputy Speaker, today, my honourable friend, the Minister for the Middle East, is summoning the Israeli ambassador to the Foreign Office to convey this message. I say now to the people of Israel, I want a strong friendship with you based on shared values, with flourishing ties between our people and societies. We are unwavering in our commitment to your security and to your future, to countering the very real threat from Iran, the scourge of terrorism, and the evils of anti-Semitism. But the conduct of the war in Gaza is damaging our relationship with your government.
Yeah. The situation in Gaza is catastrophic. The aid that Israel has allowed in is, of course, welcomed, but it's a drop in the ocean. Aid must flow immediately, without obstruction and at scale, because this is what is needed. I've made these points also with my talks with Israelis. Also, I've had talks with UN and the regional leaders as well. Pressure is necessary to change the situation. It is clear from today's discussion that there is a strong majority in favor of review of Article 2 of our association agreement with Israel. So we will launch this exercise, and in the meantime, it is up to Israel to unblock the humanitarian aid. Saving lives must be our top priority.
The UK has paused any trade talks with Israel. It is also introducing sanctions, including asset freezes and travel bans on 3 individuals and 4 companies, in the words of the government, who are carrying out heinous abuses of human rights. Israel's ambassador to the UK has also been summoned to speak to one of the UK's Middle East ministers, so that, according to David Lammy, it can be conveyed that the Netanyahu government's actions have made this necessary. Now, Israel, for its part, says that actually trade talks weren't moving anywhere anyway, that progress was not being made on trade discussions with the Keir Starmer government, and it also says that external pressure won't divert it from its aims. It was the Foreign Secretary David Lammy who set out this course of action from the UK government in the House of Commons. There were some, at times, angry and certainly passionate scenes in the House of Commons as he did so. Priti Patel, who spoke for the opposition Conservatives, insisted that the action that the UK government is taken would be being welcomed by Hamas, she said. But there were also some Labour MPs from David Lammy's own party who want the government to go further and suggest that they believe the government should now put in place a complete arms embargo on Israel. We are not at that point yet, but the UK government says it absolutely will consider further action if it believes it is necessary. We also know that several European Union member states are also recommending that the EU pause its trade association with Israel as a result of the humanitarian issues in Gaza and the expanding military operation from Israel there. Certainly in the last 24 hours or so, relations between the UK and Israel have deteriorated significantly. There's also been a significant shift in tone from the UK government, which believes that the conditions in Gaza as a result of Israel's actions are, it says, intolerable. As I say, the UK government insisting that it will go further in the days and weeks ahead if it believes it's necessary. Ollie Barrett, NDTV, London.
And joining us for an expert's view on the matter, live at the moment, James Bowden. James, as always, thank you so much for making time for us and joining us on NDTV. Let's talk about whether this is the biggest diplomatic blow yet that the UK has served to Israel. And would you say this is a principled stance or political posturing?
I think it's more posturing. They really need to go further, much further in their response. Israel has heard about sanctions ever since the beginning of this war, and they have either had the threat of sanctions, imposed sanctions, or some other move made during this war, as I said. And so what I would argue for is suspension of visas, travel visas, tourist, business, those kinds of things, even up to possibly the suspension of diplomatic relations for a period of time. Israel has become so numb to these stances and this posturing that there needs to be a new shock to the system in order to get their attention and really move the needle as far as getting them to compromise.
Right, James, also let's talk about timing. Why is this rupture happening now after months of bloodshed? Can you just take us through what's changed politically in London, in Brussels, and perhaps even Washington?
Well, I just really think that everybody, as I have, we've been watching the images of suffering Palestinians, children, women, even some of the men. Think about like the elderly men and women in the Gaza Strip who are suffering. I mean, this is starvation. This is slow death.
Absolutely.
And And so people are saying enough is enough, and we've got to do something now at this point. I mean, I think there was a hope that Israel was going to relieve this siege much sooner. And people didn't want to believe that it was just going to keep going on as it was. And when it's going from May to June, no, there's got to be something firmer put down here.
Right, and as we know, James, David Lammy has called Israel's actions repellent, monstrous and extremist. Do you agree that this language is now reflective of a broader shift in Western patience with Netanyahu's government?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have the trio. We have UK, France, and Canada, which are now stepping up the pressure and which are seeking to address the situation. And I think that we need even more countries to join because, again, there's just a real desire to bring this to an end.
Right. Well, James, as always, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. Really appreciate your time and your views. Well, as we speak, thousands of babies in Gaza could die within days without immediate food and medical aid. This is what the United Nations has warned as Israel allowed a limited number of humanitarian trucks into the besieged enclave for the first time in weeks. The UN has said categorically that they had been granted permission to send around 108 trucks into Gaza following an 11-week blockade. And this, as the UN humanitarian chief Tom Fletcher warned very clearly that 14,000 babies in Gaza could die within 48 hours if they do not receive urgent nutrition and urgent care. The other crucial story we're tracking, the Indian diplomatic outreach on Operation Sindoor through the all-party delegations' visits. Well, one delegation will depart today. They will start with the first of the 7 delegations that are set to leave for the United Arab Emirates. And over the next 4 days, till the 25th of May, the remaining 6 delegations will also leave the country to address audiences, policymakers, and elected representatives in several other countries. In all, as we have been covering with my colleague Aishwarya Jain, the delegations will visit 32 countries to convey New Delhi's stance on terrorism following the deadly Pahalgam attack and Operation Sindoor. As you can see, Aishwarya is with us this morning with a quick update. Aishwarya, thanks so much for making time for us this morning. The first team, as we're given to understand, leaves for the UAE today?
Well, that's right. The first of the 7 multi-party delegations which will travel to international capitals of different countries to articulate India's position will leave today for United Arab Emirates. It is Srikant Sindh's delegation that will head to UAE and will also visit and Nigeria. The other members will be traveling in this particular delegation are Madan Parmeshwar, Kaluwalia, Sasmit Patra, E.T. Mohammed Bashir of the IUNL, and Ambassador Suzanne Chinoy. Remember, it is yesterday. The first briefing by the Foreign Secretary Vikram Mukti was concluded in the Parliament, and it was stated to all the members that how the closure was given to them as far as Pakistan involvement in terrorism activities, just not in India, but across the world in so many years, so many decades. And this is not a few years that Pakistan has been involved in Pakistan terrorism. And it is these delegations will be meeting their counterparts, in different cities. There are officials. There are former ambassadors in every delegation. Amy will be briefing them to them time to time as far as what and how India's stance should be put forward in front of these different countries so that Pakistan can be completely isolated on it.
Aishwarya, as always, thanks so much for joining us with the lowdown. And the other big headline we're tracking, Indian writer, lawyer, activist Banu Mushtaq has scripted history by winning the International Booker Prize for the short story anthology Heart Lamp. It's the first book written in the Kannada language, which is spoken in Karnataka, to win the prestigious prize. The stories in Heart Lamp were translated into English by Deepa Bahasti and featuring 12 short stories written by Ms. Mushtaq over 3 decades from 1990 to 2023. Heartlamp actually captures the hardships of Muslim women living in southern India. My colleague Deepak Bopana has been tracking the finer developments for us. He joins us live at the moment. Deepak, a big moment for the country and Miss Mushtaq as she scripts history.
Absolutely. It's a massive moment. This is, of course, one of the most prestigious awards out there, and an Indian winning that, of course, is a big feat in itself. She hails from Karnataka. You know, her works have been awarded in the state as well here. She's written at least about 6, short stories, novels, essays, and even poetry for several years now. The Karnataka Sahitya Academy, of course, has awarded her. She's been a renowned writer in Karnataka. She's written on several interesting topics, and that's what sets her apart. Like you, of course, mentioned, be it on the aspects of caste, on the aspects of community, on the aspects of patriarchy, and more. There have been various concepts that are deep-rooted. It's somewhere a sense of belonging to some of the writings that she has. And it has been appreciated across the country. And now, with her book, which was written predominantly in Kannada up until now, being translated by author Deepa there and being published in different parts of the world, recognition coming internationally as well.
As always, Deepak, thank you so much for joining us with that crucial update. Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar is on a 3-nation European tour, his first overseas visit after the India-Pakistan conflict. He has met delegates in the Netherlands and is scheduled to visit Denmark and Germany. And Dr. Jaishankar explored opportunities in semiconductors, artificial intelligence, green hydrogen with the Netherlands. He also had high-level meetings with top Dutch leadership, including their Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. Meanwhile, a multi-pronged boycott of Turkey as well as Azerbaijan, along with Pakistan, driven by public sentiment in India and strengthened by social media campaigns, has already had an economic and diplomatic impact. In case you didn't know, Turkey and Azerbaijan, that are also popular budget holiday destinations for Indians, have both issued statements backing Islamabad in the conflict. In fact, reports now state that the clamor to ban the import of even apples from Turkey, which supports Pakistan in India's fight against terrorism, continues to grow louder. So trade, travel, and brands are being phased out. We did a deep dive for you earlier. Listen in. In the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack and during Operation Sindoor, diplomatic lines were clearly drawn. While India acted against terror, some nations, notably Turkey and Azerbaijan, chose to back Pakistan. Well, now India is responding not with rhetoric, but with decisive economic and commercial measures. So in this report, we look at how Indian businesses, government bodies, and consumers are gradually but firmly cutting ties with nations perceived to be unsupportive of India's national security concerns. On the 2nd of May, the Indian government formally halted all imports from Pakistan, including those routed through third countries. This move targets an estimated $500 million in indirect trade, with the aim to plug all channels of commerce that may be benefiting entities across the border. Following this, the Confederation of All India Traders also announced a halt to trade with Turkey and Azerbaijan. This is significant because trade between India and Turkey alone stood at over $10 billion in the financial year 2024. With this, the message is clear. Business as usual will not continue with countries that publicly support Pakistan in matters of cross-border terrorism. On the retail front, India's Central Consumer Protection Authority has directed e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart and Etsy to remove Pakistani flags and related merchandise from their listings. Meanwhile, Turkish brands are seeing reduced visibility in Indian e-commerce. Myntra has suspended sales of Turkish brands, while Reliance's Ajio has paused listings for brands like Cotton, LC Waikiki and Mavi. The aviation sector has also seen direct action. Turkish ground handling company Celebi has lost its security clearance in India, ending its operations across 9 airports, with the official reason being cited as national security. So tourism is another area seeing a noticeable dip.
According to Make My Trip, bookings to Turkey and Azerbaijan have fallen by 60%, while cancellations have spiked by 250% in just a week. Travel portals like Ixigo, Easy Trip Planners and Cox & Kings have reportedly reduced or paused their promotions to these destinations. Make My Trip, meanwhile, advises against non-essential travel to the two countries. The impact has also reached the cultural space. The Confederation of All India Traders has appealed to Indian production houses to stop filming and conducting promotional activities in Turkey. Music platforms have started removing thumbnails featuring Pakistani artists. Meanwhile, Indian authorities have blocked YouTube channels of several Pakistani personalities, and the platform has confirmed receiving official requests for such action, with potential consequences for non-compliance.
With this, India asserts that this isn't about bans or bluster. It's about influence and intent. India is choosing who to engage with more carefully. And for countries engaging with India, whether diplomatically, economically or culturally, the message is subtle but firm. Mutual respect matters and choices have consequences. Parmeshwar, Bawa for NDTV World.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
More news that matters.
Big exclusive. Tulsi Gabbard gunned down by Pakistan-backed cowards.
When you interact with people on ground, you're able to reflect their sentiments much better.
More debates that shake the system. More exclusives you won't find anywhere else. Not just another prime time. It's a prime time that's unmissable.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24x7.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show.
Welcome back. Let's take you through the recent surge in cases of COVID-19 in South Asia. Well, Thailand, Singapore and Hong Kong are all witnessing a recent surge in cases of COVID-19. In fact, if we talk about India, there has been a mild uptake in comparison to South Asian countries. In fact, while there has been an alarm bell ringing in India too, new cases have come to the fore from states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Let me just break down the numbers for you. According to the statistics displayed on the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare's website, India has 257 active COVID cases at present. If you take a look at that map on your screens at the moment, Kerala is leading the tally in terms of COVID cases. We've got Tamil Nadu showing quite an uptick in cases, even Maharashtra, Karnataka, Delhi, Gujarat, Haryana and Sikkim. In other crucial news, Apple is accelerating its efforts to move a significant portion of iPhone manufacturing out of China. The goal is to produce most of the iPhones sold in the United States from India by the end of next year. And this shift as we have covered, has sparked criticism from US President Donald Trump, who recently urged the Apple CEO Tim Cook to stop building new factories in India and manufacture in America instead. But there are reports that state that Honhai Precision Industry Co., the main assembler of Apple's iPhones, has committed $1.5 billion to its Indian subsidiary. This is what an Economic Times report states. The investment was made through its Singapore-based unit, according to a stock exchange filing that was seen on the 19th of May, which was Monday. Meanwhile, Elon Musk said he's committed to still leading Tesla 5 years from now and expects to pare back his political spending, assuaging some investors' concerns about the future of his most valuable company. The billionaire offered new details about his plans in a wide-ranging interview that also touched on his compensation, Tesla's sliding sales, and a possible spin-off of SpaceX's Starlink satellite business. Thank you for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll keep tracking the latest for you. Do stay tuned.
In the last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Denzil Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
These are the visuals that are coming in. Let's go full frame with it.
For every big news story.
You can't defend the indefensible Ruchira Kamboj, but that's what Pakistan has been doing for a very, very long time.
We are sifting through a lot of information. Some is right, some is not right. But I think we are
India tunes in to NDTV.
In fact, on NDTV, like we've been doing for the last few hours, we've been
for fast, clear, and credible news.
We've also been, busting a lot of misinformation that's been coming in.
When I was standing on the road, I saw these lights going off
NDTV,
in the sky, and I could hear
where credibility
sounds of like
comes
what sound
first.
like blasts happening.
When Pakistan started shelling and first shell landed here, you can see this.
Well, we have reached at ground zero, and this village is
NDTV. First, fast, factual.
If it matters to you,
Good morning, you're watching Breakfast Show. I'm Radhika Ramaswamy joining you from Mumbai studios. We also have Divya Vadwa joining us from Delhi studios. Divya, India's global campaign against terror to begin. First batch of MPs to head out, and also pre-monsoon showers hit several parts of the country. Bengaluru is worst affected, and alert issued in Mumbai as well.
That's right, and the plea against Justice Varma is coming up in the top court. The Supreme Court to take up that plea, seeking his FIR. We'll also get you details of how monsoon is expected to reach in the next 4 to 5 days. That is what the Met Department is saying in regard to monsoon making its entry into Kerala. So pre-monsoon showers in Kerala and adjoining areas. A red alert warning has been sounded off for Bengaluru, particularly the coastal belt of Karnataka. We'll get you all the details. Let's start with the headlines. And in India's global campaign against terrorism that begins its first batch. This is the delegation that will be heading out today, and the delegation that is going to be going to UAE and other countries, including Congo. This is the mission to expose Pakistan's terror nexus.
And Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister takes stock of Bengaluru rain mayhem. DKS says a new law soon against basements in low-lying areas. This after 2 people died inside a flooded basement in Bengaluru.
And a plea against Justice Verma. To remember, there was a lot of money that was found at his residence while he was away. It was the fire department that reached his residence and had found a lot of money. Of course, Justice Verma saying that this had nothing to do with him, but the Supreme Court will be taking up the plea, seeking his FIR.
Judicial panel summons ex-Chief Minister KCR alleged irregularities in irrigation project under lens. BRS says this is calculated political conspiracy.
And let's get you as drain warfare spreads. It's the United States that is planning a new shield. Trump unveils plans for Golden Dome.
And Mumbai's walk of shame. A study reveals that Mumbai is among the least walkable cities in the world. We understand from a panel of experts why the city is failing its pedestrians.
An Indian writer and lawyer, Banu Mushtaq, strips history. The International Booker Prize. She has won the International Booker Prize for her short story collection, Heartland.
Let's start with our top focus of the day. Divya, first, all-party delegation is all set to leave for abroad to expose Pakistan's terror nexus. Shrikant Shinde-led all-party delegation will be the first one to depart today for UAE, Liberia and Congo. This is India's big global outreach against terror post-Pahalgam attacks.
That's right, Radhika. Remember, this move aims to expose Pakistan's terrorism on a global platform. Yesterday, we heard Vikram Mishri. He had briefed 3 of the 7 delegations, saying that we will give a very clear message that India is a peace-loving nation. But if someone attacks us, we will give a reply. India is really focused on economic development, and Pakistan is busy with developing terrorism. That is the message that's going out in batches, and of course that first batch that's leaving today. And to know more on this, we're joined by our colleague Anushka Garg, who's joining us from the Delhi airport. Aishwarya Jain also joining us to get us more on this. Aishwarya, over to you first in regard to take us through what are part of this. Like, we do know that the Shinde faction is part of this. Let's also, we know Basri Siraj is also leaving in that first batch. Which are the other countries they'll be visiting? Who all will they be meeting? And how long will they be staying per city? Anushka, over to you.
That's right. The Indian diaspora is set to leave today. The multi-party delegation who will be going to different, different countries today, and are in fact also set to meet the parliamentarians, the Indian diaspora, and not just that, also the think tanks of the foreign nations, and make India stand clear on terrorism. After the Pahalgam attack, India had retaliated on 9 terror, camps based on Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and had neutralized 9 terrorist camps. India has always made it stand clear that they had not targeted any military establishment from Pakistan. Not just that, they have also in fact made sure that none of the civilians are harmed in this whole process. We do know that all the MPs who are leaving today, Group 3 and Group 4, are supposed to leave today. One is led by JDU MP Sanjay Jha. The second is being led by Shiv Sena MP, Shrikant Eknath Shinde. Also, a lot of MPs are accompanying them. 8 people are in the Group 3 and 9 people are in Group 4. Several of the people are going to meet the global diaspora and make India stand clear. As we do know that before the ceasefire agreement was announced, India had said that any act of terrorism in Indian soil will be seen as an act of war. India has always made it clear that India is all about de-escalation. We have seen the Prime Minister multiple times saying that this is not the age of war, but any terror attack that happens in our ground will not go unanswered. And that is what the statement is, the statement that India is trying to make in the global community, saying that how India is focused on their economic development, while Pakistan is still developing terror attacks and terrorist camps inside of their soil. And that is how India is retaliating. Many of the times India had trusted Pakistan's word as to no terror attack will take place in Indian soil, but multiple times Pakistan has always misled India and has in fact led multiple attacks on Indian soil. That is how India is in fact going to portray this on the global platform. Also, we do know that several people were asking the question as to how this whole ceasefire was mediated between India and Pakistan by third-party interference. India has always said that this has not happened. And also, what we do understand by now is that the multiple party have been in fact given a dossier stating all the proofs, all the facts that needs to be told on the global platform.
To Aishwarya on this. Of course, the larger messaging, Aishwarya, is zero tolerance against terrorism. That is the objective and the messaging as far as the Indian delegation is concerned. But also, Aishwarya, if you could take us through the politics that has been playing out. A lot of politics, criticism from the opposition on the MPs that were chosen. So take us through what the criterion were used for the selection and, of course, the expected outcome also as far as these high-level meetings across the world are concerned.
Well, Radhika, the Trinamool Congress has objected to the name of Yusuf Pathan. Their objection was that why the government or the Bharatiya Janata Party, for that matter, had not asked the Supremo or the national chiefs of the political parties as to who those political parties want to nominate from their party to go and represent India. But if we talk about government's point of view, they had been stating that they want to keep it very balanced. And with a larger heart, yesterday Kiran Rijiju called up Mamata Banerjee and Uddhav Thackeray as well. While they had an objection for the names, it was communicated to them by the government that we do not want to do any sort of politics, and whatever name you wanted to suggest, you can give, and therefore Abhishek Banerjee's name from Trinamool Congress was inducted. It is government who stated that keep politics aside because India is bigger than politics, and here any MP is not representing any political party. They are representing the country abroad, and therefore the reason perhaps yesterday while the Foreign Secretary briefed these MPs in the Parliament, they had been given a dossier about how the history of Pakistan has been and how Pakistan should be isolated when these MPs would be going to different global capitals to speak to their counterparts, to speak to their officials, to the parliamentarians out there. Of course, they would be assisted by the MEA, but of course, the MPs have been told that why Operation Sindoor was conducted, what was the objective. Everything needs to be communicated in a very, very smooth way so that Pakistan can be cornered on every front.
Right. Also, let's get you the latest when it comes to Shiv Sena MP and delegation member Milind Deora, who's saying that there's a need to sensitize the world with our position. That is what Milind Deora has gone on to say as Pakistan imports, in fact, Pakistan exports terrorism, Radhika. That is what Milind Deora has said.
That's right. Milind Deora has said the world knows Pakistan is a rogue state and a failed state. Let's listen in to this conversation.
Former Foreign Minister of Pakistan and Chairman of PPP, Bilawal Bhutto, is leading a copycat delegation to bolster Pakistan's narrative. How will India counter Pakistan's outreach effort, which will be about distorting facts?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me here. I don't think the Indian delegation going to any country is particularly concerned about Bilawal Bhutto's visit on behalf of the country of Pakistan. So I think moving beyond this hyphenation, Maria, while we certainly will be traveling to different countries, MPs cutting across parties to speak in one united voice and to expose Pakistan for what it is, let's be very clear and let's be very honest and candid about one thing. The entire world, from America to Asia, knows very well that Pakistan is a rogue, failed state. Its economy is on the brink if it hasn't already collapsed. It's a terrorist exporting state. Unlike most countries where the people of that country elect a civilian government who then oversee an army. In Pakistan, it's the other way around. It's an army that oversees a civilian government. So Pakistan has no credibility left. The ultimate goal is Pakistan is a failed state. Everyone knows about that. There's not much to be said about Pakistan. I said that if young people like Vladimir Putin focused on reviving the country's domestic agenda, on reviving the country's economy, doing good for the country, it would help us have a stable neighbor. But they have a different agenda, so nobody's really concerned about what he's going to say. But ultimately, our aim is to reaffirm India's belief in counterterrorism, our support for counterterrorism globally, and more importantly, Maria, to do that with one voice. That's something which is very, very critical. And I would congratulate the government for thinking about this initiative, for bringing people across political parties, across communities, across states, regional parties, national parties, southern parties, eastern parties, northeastern MPs. So essentially, the entire flavor of India speaking in one voice, that on the issue of counterterrorism, we are united and we will not allow failed states that use the nuclear deterrent as a form of blackmail, as a form of spreading terrorism, to prevent us from doing what we need to do to retaliate.
Let's get you some breaking updates. The Tamil Nadu government has moved the Supreme Court. In fact, Tamil Nadu government has alleged that centre is withholding funds worth about 2,152 crore rupees has been withheld. Is the allegation, of course, this is, of course, the language clash, the three-language policy imposition that the Tamil Nadu has been, in fact, against. The union government has been adamant in not releasing funds, is what the Tamil Nadu government has said. So therefore, they've moved the Supreme Court to Divya.
That's right. Of course, what really MK Stalin has been saying is that the union government has been adamant in not releasing those funds to the tune of 2,152 crore rupees to the government of Tamil Nadu, to the DMK, for refusing to implement the three-language policy. And the state government is now seeking a legal recourse and is, knocking on the doors of the Supreme Court. So the Tamil Nadu government there filing a suit in the Supreme Court against the union government, allegedly for withholding funds. These are funds because of, not complying with the national education policy, the new education policy, which, the DMK has been opposing. So the ruling DMK, they're moving the Supreme Court against the centre for withholding over 2,000 crore rupees of funds. And this is the announcement that was made by MK Stalin over the weekend. And now, the government is going ahead, the DMK government is going ahead and knocking on the doors of the Supreme Court. We have our colleague Sam Daniel joining us. Sam, of course, now MK Stalin had, made this announcement saying that they would be taking the legal recourse, the legal route in order to get the money out of the central government. And this is a huge amount. It's over 2,000 crore rupees, which, the MK Stalin government has been asking for. And they're saying that they're being penalized, they're being punished for really not, towing the line as far as the new language policy is concerned.
That's right, Divya. This was announced by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin a few days ago while he launched a book written by Tamil Nadu School Education Minister that the Tamil Nadu government will move the Supreme Court against the central government for withholding this 2,152 crore that was meant for the ongoing Samagra Shiksha program across Tamil Nadu. And this, for the last several months, the state government has been saying has affected payment of salaries for teachers and several welfare schemes for students. And it's in this context the Tamil Nadu government has now moved the Supreme Court. We have just got the affidavit. We should take a while to read and get a sense of what exactly they are projecting. But the larger picture is Tamil Nadu has not accepted the national education policy, particularly its three-language formula, which the ruling DMK and even the AIADMK, an ally of the BJP, look at as an attempt to impose Hindi in Tamil Nadu, which the state has outrightly rejected for several decades. The state is content with its two-language policy, learning Tamil to help children think critically and learning English to connect with the rest of India and around the world. And they see no reason why a third language, irrespective of what it is, whether Hindi or any other language, to be forcibly taught to children. And children are free to learn if they think any particular language will help them in any way. It's in this context the state government is moving the Supreme Court, and even on the floor of the House and outside, the Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan in the past has cited the state government's non-acceptance of the new national education policy, the reason for the central government withholding these funds. And at some point, the centre argued that at one point, the state government was willing to accept NEP, but later made a U-turn. But the government here denied these allegations, saying the letter they had given to the centre only talks about subject to the outcome of a committee they had constituted, but they did not really accept the NEP.
Thank you so much for joining us with those details. Let's just get you more news coming in, and this is in regard to the ceremonial beating retreat at the 3 joint checkposts. These are at the Tari-Wagah border, the Hussainiwala border and Sadki along the Pakistan frontier in Punjab that resumed yesterday on Tuesday, Radhika, just 2 weeks after it was suspended following Operation Sindoor. The ceremony took place under new rules and altered protocols in a very restricted format without that symbolic opening of the border gates, which really takes place during the flag lowering ceremony, Radhika. So, it's not going to be the same going forward, even though there seems to be signs of normalization that's, coming about as long as the line of control and, as far as the border areas are concerned.
Certainly, change in protocols, change in dynamics, certainly without the symbolic opening of border gates, as you said, during the flag lowering ceremony and the customary handshake between BSF and Pakistan Rangers. So a lot of change in protocols there. Remember, the beating retreat ceremony at the border started in 1959, conducted by BSF and Pakistan Rangers, which included synchronized marches, high kicks and flag lowering on both sides before sunset. Let's go straight across to Gurpreet on this. Gurpreet, beating retreat to resume, but with a lot of changes post-Indo-Pak tensions, of course. Take us through the new rules.
Well, yes, we have seen on Tuesday this beating retreat ceremony has been restored by our forces, and because this is one of the famous and tourist place, we have seen multiple people. They visited our Tari-Wagah border, Hussainiwala and Fazilka border also. They are seeing and watching this beating retreat ceremony. So we have seen this has been restored by the government, but all the protocols have already been issued to all these authorities so that it should remain scaled on. Because we have seen after Pahalgam, it was decided to scale down this beating retreat ceremony. No gates were being opened, no handshaking ceremony will be continuing, and these protocol will be followed because even we have seen there is the total normalcy, but still they want this message should be gone to Pakistan, and that could be possible reasons why this protocol has been asked to follow as of now. Back to studio.
All right, so new protocols there being asked to follow. Thank you, Gurpreet, for getting us those details. Let's shift our focus to Telangana now. Former Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has been summoned to appear on June 5 before Justice PC Ghosh Commission. Divya, this of course is investigating alleged irregularities in the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project that the BRS had claimed to be an engineering marvel and brainchild of KCR.
That's right, Radhika. Notices were also served to KCR's nephew, Harish Rao, who was the irrigation minister at the time, to appear on the 6th of June. So BJP MP also Rajinder, who was a finance minister in KCR's BRS government and later went ahead and joined the BJP, has also been asked to appear before the commission on the 9th of June. Uma joining us to get us more on this. Uma, the Revant Reddy government had ordered this probe back in March of last year. Now the probe panel has summoned KCR, but it is, K. Kavita alleging that the notice issued to KCR is nothing but a political conspiracy, a political vendetta to tarnish his image.
Yes, indeed. Quite dramatic that former Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has been summoned by the PC Ghosh committee to appear before the commission and to explain his point of view, because after the commission was constituted, headed by the Justice PC Ghosh, several officers, multiple departments, all of them had deposed before the commission, and all of that has been put out into a report. But it is very, very critical that the political leadership of that time also be summoned and the views that are being given by different officers be corroborated with what the political leadership has to say, because what we understand is that most of the officers had said that the location of the barrages as well as the design and the finances, all of that was personally handled by the then Chief Minister, Mr. KCR, and I would say that even the BRS government at that time had taken a lot of credit or given a lot of credit to the then Chief Minister, Mr. K. Chandrasekhar Rao, saying that he had taken a personal interest and in fact literally drawn up the design for the Kaleshwaram barrages, where the barrages would be located and what kind of a design may be best suited under those conditions. All of that was personally overseen by the former Chief Minister, and therefore he now being called in by the Commission is quite critical. And as you mentioned, the Irrigation Minister of that time, who also happens to be KCR's nephew, Mr. Harish Rao, and also you have the Etela Rajender, who was then Finance Minister. Of course, he has also held the health portfolio, but it is in his capacity as a Finance Minister of that time, though subsequently he became a BJP MP. Etela Rajender has been summoned on the 9th of June. The term of the Commission itself has been extended multiple times, and right now the term of the Commission has been extended till the 31st of July, which means by then the Commission will have to submit its report by the 31st of July.
Right. Thank you so much, Uma. Stay with us. Of course, this is in regard to the next story, and that's the Telangana Chief Secretary, Ramakrishna Rao, who has issued a directive to all officers in the state, government employees of all India and state services about appropriate behaviour in public meetings and threatened disciplinary action for any violation that compromises the dignity and the image of the official and the post of the official, Radhika.
That's right, Divya. This after an IAS officer was seen reaching out to Chief Minister's feet to seek his blessings. Officers must maintain integrity is a directive that has been issued. Let's go back to Uma on this. Uma, take us through the guidelines that has been issued at this point to government employees regarding their behavior, especially, in front of Chief Ministers or any big politicians of the state. And what really happened, what prompted this directive? We believe that an IAS officer was seen reaching out to Chief Minister's feet. That really sparked a lot of controversy and outrage.
So the new Chief Secretary of Telangana, Mr. Ramakrishna Rao, has directed all the officers, not just belonging to the All India services, but also to the state services, and he has also written to the DGP to pass on the message to the IPS officers that they must maintain professionalism, decorum, and behavior in a manner that is befitting their status and their space, or rather stature, in the eyes of the public, because they must instill or inspire the confidence and trust of the public in public meetings as well as in any kind of a gathering, and that they must maintain that kind of a behavior and integrity and devotion to service. That is something that's been triggered. It is being speculated, I must point out, because the Chief Secretary per se has not made any mention of any particular incident, but it is being speculated that just a couple of days ago, the Tribal Welfare Secretary, Mr. Sharath Nayak, it had seemed that he was appearing to reach out for the feet of the Chief Minister to take his blessings, but the notice actually says that there have been multiple such instances and that officers must refrain from this kind of a behavior, otherwise they will be liable for disciplinary action.
Thank you so much, Uma, for joining us with those details. Let's just get you more news, and this is in regard to in Bengaluru, nobody will be allowed to make a basement in low-lying areas. That is the decision that's been taken by DK Shivkumar, the Deputy Chief Minister, after 2 people have died due to flooding in the basement. Bengaluru, often called India's Silicon Valley, continues to battle with rain-related issues with a red alert warning in place. The Deputy Chief Minister has taken stock of the situation this morning. Radhika, he was visiting those flood-hit areas. He acknowledged the long-standing civic issue, saying that the crisis was not new, but his government is committed in solving it with long-term sustainable solutions, not quick fixes, is what he has gone on to say.
Certainly, that's the assurance that has been given by the government there. Today, of course, Chief Minister of Karnataka will also be visiting rain-impacted areas. Orange alert has been issued for the next 3 hours in coastal Karnataka and parts of Bidar. But let's listen in to what DK Shivkumar, in fact, said after taking stock of the situation.
ಕಡೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿ ಕೆರೆಗಳ ಪಕ್ಕ ಲೈನ್ ಏರಿಯಾಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅನುಭವ. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಥ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಕಾನೂನೇ ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನದು ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡದೆ ಕಾರ್ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋರಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಮನೆಗಳ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಏಕೆಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಈ ಥರ ಪಂಪ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀರು ಮುಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ನೆನೆ ರಾಜರಾಜೇಶ್ವರಿ ನಗರದಲ್ಲೂ ಗಮನಿಸಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಇದನ್ನೇ ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ.
Let's go straight across to Deepak, who's joining us from Bengaluru. Deepak, we believe the situation has in a way normalized in the IT city. No flooding, no waterlogging today, I understand. But Chief Minister, Deputy CM, Chief Minister going to take stock of the situation. DCM has taken stock of the situation, and also no basements in low-lying areas is an announcement that has been made. But take us through the situation now and how the government has reacted over the last couple of days.
Well, as an update, as far as weather is concerned, the sun is peeking out through the clouds. It's somewhere good news for the people in the city of Bengaluru. For the last couple of days, it's predominantly been overcast, which is generally not a great sign, especially if there is heavy rainfall. And for the last 24 hours or more, there hasn't been heavy rainfall. Short spells of moderate rainfall have been witnessed in different parts of the city. As of now, low-lying areas, especially around Sai Layout, the water stagnation continues because there's no place really for the water to go because that stormwater drain there is still completely clogged. There's also heavy inflow. So for the residents there, there's no option but to leave. And we've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours, exodus of sorts from that locality, which usually happens. Today, the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister both will go on city rounds. They'll visit multiple areas which have been hit by the rains. They will try and look at permanent solutions, though, they don't seem to be there because, government after government, year after year, these issues seem to be, perennial. We'll really have to see whether they can actually find a solution in sight for some of these residents living in the low-lying areas. But overall, there is also, of course, that announcement that came in from Mr. D.K. Shivakumar, who visited, HSR yesterday, where we saw two people lose their lives while trying to pump out the water from their basement. One was a young 12-year-old. The Deputy Chief Minister there going on to say that a new law will be brought in to ensure that basement construction will not be allowed in low-lying areas.
Basement construction won't be allowed is what D.K. Shivakumar has gone on to say, and this is a move that he's made because two people have died because they were stuck in a basement that got flooded. So those are some kind of, changes that the Congress government is making in regard to a problem which is old. New solutions that they say that are going to be not quick fixes, Radhika. Permanent solutions is something that they are going to be working on, and saying that this is something that's been happening in the past, and they have been facing these problems through different governments. It's nothing that has been created in the past few years. Moving on, the Supreme Court has asked petitioners challenging the Waqf laws to present a compelling case for interim relief, emphasizing the presumption of constitutionality when it comes to states, Radhika.
That's right. In fact, petitioners argue the law enables systematic expropriation of Waqf properties, dilutes Muslim representation and restricts legal remedies. Let's go to Nupur on this. Nupur, we believe a top court will resume hearing the case today. There are, of course, multiple petitions that have been filed against the Act, Waqf Amendment Act. A court yesterday saying cannot interfere unless there is a glaring case. Take us through the arguments that were presented before the court and what's expected today. Nupur, if you can hear me, yesterday, of course...
Yes, Divya?
Yes, go ahead, Nupur.
Yes, I was saying that the Supreme Court will resume hearing arguments from two of the counsels who are left from the petitioner's side. and then it will go on to hear what the centre has to say on the arguments presented by the petitioners. Remember, the centre had filed a 1,300-page long affidavit claiming that there has been, there needs to be a check on Waqf properties, and there is a limit till which the judiciary can intervene, and there has to be balance of powers when it comes to a law that has been passed by the legislature, duly passed in the parliament. Now it will be, today mostly it will be Solicitor General Tushar Mehta who will be presenting his case. And after that, petitioners will be given a chance to counter his argument, and the court then is likely to pass an interim order today on the question whether there should be an interim stay on certain provisions or not.
All right. Thank you, Nupur, for getting us those details. Of course, we'll keep coming back to you as the matter is being heard by the Apex Court today as well. Divya, let's shift our focus to more developments from the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is slated to hear on Wednesday a plea seeking criminal prosecution of Justice Yashwant Verma, who is, of course, embroiled in the controversy surrounding the discovery of huge pile of burnt cash in the storeroom attached to his bungalow in the national capital after the fire brigade had gone there to douse a blaze on March 14.
That's right. Of course, this really comes on the heels of the Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, who's expressed serious concerns over the investigation that has been carried out by the three-judge in-house committee regarding Justice Yashwant Verma's corruption allegations. He questioned the constitutional and the legal foundation of the in-house inquiry, suggesting it lacked legitimacy. Now, in order to know more on this case, we have Nupur joining us. Nupur, of course, the Supreme Court is taking up the plea seeking his FIR. But this comes close on the heels of, VP Dhankar saying that people are waiting with bated breath. They are asking who are the bigger sharks. The investigation is required to be done at the soonest, saying that it's already been 2 months. So on one side, there's pressure for the investigation to be completed. On the other side, today the Supreme Court will be taking up the plea seeking his FIR. Hasn't it taken too long for this case to reach the Supreme Court in the first place?
Well, Divya, there are some, when it comes to initiating a criminal investigation inquiry, there are some, against a sitting High Court judge or a Supreme Court judge, there are some restrictions and there are some privileges that the judges enjoy. So what has happened so far, what has transpired so far is part of the procedure. Now it will be, remember the investigation report that has been prepared by the three-judge panel against the Justice Yashwant Verma over the alleged controversy of burnt stashes of cash found in his residence has now been submitted to the Prime Minister and President, and they will then take a call if he can be impeached or not. Now, Parliament decides should a High Court judge or a Supreme Court should be impeached. When it comes to the question of criminal inquiry needs some of the law. There will be, there has to be an exceptional case, and the court will decide whether it can, in fact, order an FIR. In case Justice Yashwant Verma had resigned, then the court could have, in fact, ordered, or the government could have taken up a criminal investigation inquiry. But as a sitting judge, he enjoys certain protection and certain privileges. So it will be important to see this petition that has been listed today also challenges that law that, protects the judges from facing such kind of criminal investigation while they are sitting in the office. So this is the question of law that the Supreme Court may decide to hear again, and whether it wants to change something about that. So until and unless there's a change in that, an investigation cannot be initiated against a sitting judge in that way. So it will be very important to see how the Supreme Court deals with this case.
Thank you so much, Nupur, for joining us with those details. Moving on now, a leader of Bengal's ruling Trinamool Congress who was involved in the violence in Murshidabad that broke out last month says that the report by a probe committee constituted by the Calcutta High Court saying that the attacks which took place during the passage of the Waqf Amendment Bill and sparked that huge political row. Radhika, let's get details of the findings.
That's right. The report has spoken of several revelations. In fact, the police failed to respond, is what it has said. The report also highlighting indiscriminate arson and loot and relentless destruction of shops and malls. It also said local police were inactive and absent during incidents at Dhulian on April 11. Let's go straight across to Shreyashi on this. Shreyashi, this report, the Murshidabad report, has revealed some shocking details there. It says there was evident police inaction, local leaders, deserted area, and many other revelations also being made in this particular report. Take us through the details.
Well, it was a panel constituted by the Calcutta High Court. It comprised of the National Human Rights Commission and 2 members from the West Bengal Legal Aid Services. And in this report, after they visited Murshidabad, they have highlighted how the police station was just 300 meters away from where violence had broken out. But the police was absent despite frantic calls being made by the residents of Bet Bona Gram, where the violence ensued, and also about how 113 homes were completely destroyed. But more importantly, it highlights how the local MLA and the local councillor, both belonging to the Trinamool Congress, were present at the spot. While the MLA saw the vandalism and left from there, the report says that the entire violence was carried out at the behest of the local councillor. We have to wait and see whether any action is taken against these public representatives by the Trinamool Congress, because so far over 100 FIRs have been filed by the police, which is currently investigating these cases.
So, Shreyashi, for getting us those details.
Right, let's shift our focus now. Divya, Mumbai, India's financial capital, has now earned a troubling global distinction. It has been ranked among the world's least walkable cities, despite over half the city's population relying on walking for daily commutes. Pedestrians here in Mumbai face broken footpaths, encroachments and monsoon-related hazards.
That's right. So, as Mumbai undergoes extensive infrastructure overhauls, it's crucial to examine whether pedestrian needs are being adequately addressed or not. The question arises, are pedestrians being sidelined, Radhika? That is really, the question here, because do they have the infrastructure? Even if I want to walk in Mumbai, is it an option or not even an option that I should be considering?
That's right. And to break down what's going wrong and what needs to change to make Mumbai walkable again, we're joined by 2 guests on the show, Vedant Matre as well as Zora Mutabana. In fact, Vedant is part of a walking project in Mumbai, and Zora is an urban activist as well, in fact, sustainable urban growth and mobility specialist. Let me go across to Zora first. Zora, of course, this is not surprising, the fact that Mumbai is not walkable. It is among the least walkable cities in the globe. But why has pedestrian infrastructure really been ignored in the city of Mumbai, historically been ignored here? Monsoons, bad roads are some of the reasons that has been part of this report. But take us through why this ignorance, why pedestrians are ignored, and what urgent measures, or rather low-cost measures, could make Mumbai pedestrian-friendly once again.
So thanks for having me in the first place. I think why is a very deep question to ask, to be honest. But Mumbai is one city where you will see both extremes. You will see great walking infrastructure in South Bombay. There is Churchgate, there is Five Gardens, which have such wide footpaths and comfortable walking infrastructure. At the same time, as you move on to the suburbs, the western suburbs, eastern suburbs, walking infrastructure almost becomes invisible. But that is also because there hasn't been the recognition of the need for pedestrians being a part of mobility and transport. Since the British have left and the Indians have had to take over, our traffic engineers have been more focused on moving of vehicles than allocating road space equitably in such a way that pedestrians also find an equal measure of space on streets. And Unfortunately, on our streets, there are lots of competing interests. There's not just pedestrians, there's also parked vehicles now, there's vendors, as well as moving vehicles. But the notion of traffic engineers to simply focus on moving vehicles, and so the measure of a street success is measured by whether there's congestion or not, whether it shows as red on Google Maps or yellow or green. And because of that, the intervention also that comes about is of flyovers, more flyovers, more flyovers. Unfortunately, there's no measure also that shows at present that this street has really poor walking infrastructure. There's so much walking demand. There are so many pedestrians. It never shows as red there that pedestrians, have a really poor walking experience in this location. So when the measure doesn't show, the implementation doesn't happen of any interventions to improve it either, unfortunately. So it's just been a complete gap in the planning of cities. Not only in Mumbai, actually, this is across the country. And Mumbai, with this largest pedestrian population, just faces the brunt much more.
Right. Vedant Matre, of course, Mumbai boasts of one of the world's most economical public transport system. We're talking about tickets priced at an average of 20 rupees. Affordability doesn't really translate to accessibility. Take us through the issues that the commuters face while they're on foot. Is it because of low safety ratings when it comes to pedestrians, when it comes to attributing whether the sidewalks are inadequate? Lighting is an issue as well. And then heavy traffic congestion. Because of heavy traffic congestion, shouldn't it be an option to have people walk perhaps short distances? But even that seems to be not an option.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even Zora mentioned that the problems actually start, especially in the suburbs. You see a lot of these railway stations, Andheri, etc. These service all of these corporate sectors, large corporate areas. And if you check the walking infrastructure around these railway stations, it's definitely inadequate in terms of width, in terms of availability of space, design. You will see certain policy issues also coming up with local municipalities where intersections are not properly designed. So they become very dangerous and people make a conscious choice to kind of use their private transport, adding to the problems of road congestion. And we are in a very bad cycle of doom where we are keeping space only for vehicles. And the footpaths are kind of falling short in that manner.
Right, and also Zora, if I can come back to you, encroachments on footpaths and poor maintenance of roads are something that's widely reported. Is this like a governance issue or is this enforcement failure? And you're a citizen yourself, I'm a citizen myself, but if we complain about bad roads, there's no immediate response. So how responsive, according to you, are municipal authorities when citizens really raise concerns about walkability?
I think it has become, this enforcement issue has become a really easy way for governance to, find an excuse, to be honest. Because the issue has always been that the streets have never been designed to accommodate everything that it needs to accommodate. And because it cannot accommodate everything that it needs to accommodate, obviously things are chaotic and there is no sense of space for anything. And so enforcement keeps coming up as an issue. And every time we bring this up to the municipal corporation, their excuse has always been, the vendors have taken over, the parked vehicles have taken over. But the municipal corporation has done nothing to create dedicated space for vending or to create dedicated space for parking. Like you will have no parking signs across the city, but there is no dedicated space for parking. So if not parked there, where will a citizen park? And therefore, if there is no planning, it's like, you're doing an interior of your home, but you don't want to hire an interior kind of a designer. You just want to directly get a contractor and start building the house. That's what is happening with our streets. The complete ignorance of design requirements, of very meticulously planning every street and the space that needs to be allocated to every, kind of requirement on that street is completely missing. And governance does not respond to that need. Our BMC is filled with engineers. They only understand the language of concrete. They understand the language of moving vehicles, of traffic. Those are the only few keywords they really understand. And as an advocate, really my work since the last 15 years has just been to convince municipal corporations that you need wide footpaths. Now imagine I have to go to a government and explain to them and convince them that, listen, your pedestrians need wide footpaths. They don't even recognize that as a requirement.
Right. Also, Mumbai's average monthly rainfall is among the highest globally, particularly during the monsoon season, which is just about to begin. Frequent waterlogging and slippery perennial problems that make walking quite risky in Mumbai. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Zora. And thank you so much, Vedant, for speaking with us on NDTV. Moving on, Indian writer, lawyer, activist Banu Mushtaq has scripted history by winning the International Booker Prize for a short, this is a short story. The Heart Lamp is the first book written in the Kannada language, Radhika, and that has won that prestigious award.
That's right. This was, of course, spoken in southern Indian states of Karnataka to win the prestigious prize, featuring 12 short stories written by Mushtaq over 3 decades. From 1990 to 2023, Heart Lamp captures stories of Muslim women living in southern India. We have Deepak joining us with more details.
It's a massive moment. This is, of course, one of the most prestigious awards out there, and an Indian winning that, of course, is a big feat in itself. She hails from Karnataka. You know, her works have been awarded in the state as well here. She's written at least about 6, short stories, novels, essays, and even poetry for several years now. The Karnataka Sahitya Academy, of course, has awarded her. She's been a renowned writer in Karnataka. She's written on several interesting topics, and that's what sets her apart. Like you, of course, mentioned, be it on the aspects of caste, on the aspects of community, on the aspects of patriarchy, and more. There have been various concepts that are deep-rooted. It's somewhere a sense of belonging to some of the, writings that she has. And it has been appreciated across the country. And now, with her book, which was written predominantly in Kannada up until now, being translated by author Deepa there and being published in different parts of the world, recognition coming internationally as well.
Shifting focus to some international updates, Divya, in a dramatic Oval Office announcement, Donald Trump unveiled his boldest military move yet in his second term, a $175 billion plan to build an ultra-ambitious missile defense system dubbed the Golden Dome.
The Golden Dome, Radhika, this is what Trump has gone on to announce, seated with a poster next to him showing the continental US painted gold. This is, the artistic depiction of the missile interceptions. This is very important for the success and even the survival of our country. That is how Donald Trump has gone on to describe this. He said the system will be entirely made in the United States.
The campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors.
And in other news, UK-Israeli relations have plunged to their worst state for decades after the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy suspended negotiations over a few these are free trade deals, saying that Israel's cabinet ministers have called to purify Gaza by expelling Palestinians that were repellent, monstrous and extremist. Radhika, those are the words that are coming out, and this is quite a huge move that we're talking about.
Absolutely. Also going on to say wider talks about a future bilateral strategic roadmap with Israel were something that's being reviewed at this point. And also at the same time, EU foreign ministers meeting in Brussels decided to review the bloc's trade agreement with Israel.
Let's just get you the latest when it comes to Elon Musk. In fact, there have been rumors that he would be stepping down, Radhika, and he has gone ahead and cleared all those rumors, saying that he's not going anywhere. He's going to be heading all the affairs as far as Tesla is concerned. He's going to remain the CEO for the next 5 years. This is, of course, there was a lot of backlash. Radhika, do remember people were burning Teslas. The stocks had gone down. And that is because of Elon Musk being part of the government plan. Do remember this was, that huge pullback as far as political spending is concerned. Dismissing all those rumors, of course, reaffirming his commitment when it comes to his company, saying that, he's back and that he's here to stay over the next 5 years.
That's right. He has said he's committed to still leading Tesla in 5 years and expected to pare back his political spending as well, as you mentioned, and also denying some of the investors' concerns about the future of this most valuable company. In fact, he should be compensated for doing something incredible at Tesla, is what he has said in that particular statement. Shifting focus to the glorious Cannes Festival, Neeraj Ghaiwan's homebound premieres at Cannes 2025 in the Uncertain Regard section, marking a major moment for Indian cinema, Divya.
That's right. There we can see Ishan Khattar and also Janhvi Kapoor both looking stunning. Janhvi, of course, opted for a custom-made Tarun Telyani outfit, looking absolutely stunning in blush pink, while Ishan Khattar there wearing burgundy head to toe in that velvet suit, looking stunning as well. And there is a part of that movie Homebound is also actor Vishal Jetu, who also made quite a striking entry. There we see Karan Johar with Natasha Poonawalla on the red carpet as well.
All right, we'll slip into a short break now. More news coming up on the other side.
Thank you so much for watching.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
India's global campaign against terror begins with the first 2 MP delegations heading out this morning. There is going to be a flight that's going to be taking off a little after 11 o'clock in the morning and then followed by a flight taking off at 9 p.m. tonight. The mission is to expose Pakistan's terror nexus. Waqf law challenge in the apex court. We are talking about the Supreme Court saying can't interfere unless there is a glaring case. Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister takes stock of the Bengaluru rain situation, says that new law soon will be out against basements in low-lying areas as 2 people have died in a basement flood. Judicial panel has summoned ex-Chief Minister KCR allegedly for irregularities in the irrigation project.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24x7.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
More news that matters.
Big exclusive. Tulsi Gabbard gunned down by Pakistan-backed cowards.
When you interact with people on ground, you're able to reflect their sentiments much better.
More debates that shake the system. More exclusives you won't find anywhere else. Not just another prime time. It's a prime time that's unmissable.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24x7.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends,
A very good morning. You're watching NDTV 24x7. I'm Divya Vadva. We also have Radhika Ramaswamy joining us from Mumbai. Radhika, we have an action-packed bulletin coming up over the next 1 hour, including that first batch of delegation, the part of that all-party delegation that's going to be leaving, heading towards the UAE to begin with. We do know the Shinde faction is part of that delegation. So is Basri Suraj. We'll get you details and a lot more, Radhika. What else is coming up on the bulletin?
Absolutely. So first batch of MP delegation to move outside of the country to make India stand clear as far as its fight against terrorism is concerned. So for that, we have both Aishwarya and Anushka who are reporting and with us from the ground. Apart from Tamil Nadu government has moved the Supreme Court against a lack of funds amid three-language policy row, and Supreme Court to take a plea seeking FIR against Justice Verma. So a lot lined up in the next 1 hour. First, let's get to the headlines. India's global campaign against terror begins first. 2 MP delegation head out today, mission to expose Pak's terror nexus.
In the language clash, it is now the Tamil Nadu government moving the Supreme Court, knocking on the doors of the Supreme Court, asking for the centre to release those funds, saying that the government hasn't been giving those funds, which are to the tune of over 2,000 crore rupees to the government of Tamil Nadu because of the NEP issue, the new education policy.
Plea against Justice Verma in top court today. In fact, Supreme Court to take up a plea seeking FIR against Justice Verma.
The judicial panel has now summoned ex-Chief Minister KCR over the alleged irregularities in the irrigation project that has been under the lens. BRS, of course, saying this is a calculated political conspiracy. That is what K. Kavita has gone on to say, hitting out at the Congress government.
And as the drone warfare spreads, United States now plans new shield. Trump has unveiled plans for Golden Dome.
An Indian writer and lawyer, Banu Mushtaq, strips history. She's won the International Booker Prize for her short story collection, Hot Lamp. Let's get to your top story, and that's starting with our top focus of the day. The first all-party delegation is all set to leave for abroad to expose Pakistan's terror nexus. The Shrikant Shinde-led all-party delegation will be leaving for the United Arab Emirates, as well as other parts of the world, including Congo. This is India's big global outreach against terror post-Pahalgam attacks. Now, of course, Radhika, this is a move in order to expose Pakistan's intention, and Pakistan, is harboring terrorism. That is the aim of this delegation. Who are going to be part of that first batch? Also, Radhika, get us some more names on that list.
That's right, Divya. As you mentioned, the move is, of course, to expose Pakistan's terror network on a global platform. Of course, the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri briefed 3 of the 7 delegations, saying we will give a clear message that India is a peace-loving nation. But if someone attacks us, we'll give a reply. India is focused on economic development. We know that Shrikant Shinde will be part of the first batch of delegation and several other leaders as well. But for more on who will be part of delegation and when the travel will start, we're joined by Anushka as well as Aishwarya. Let's go to Aishwarya first. Aishwarya, of course, you've been following these multiple meetings that had taken place, some of them headed by Vikram Misri himself, whereby he had briefed several of these MPs before they head out to the global stage. But take us through the larger objective behind this, and also what is the kind of outcome that can be expected and the developments that have taken place on this front in the last couple of days.
Well, we have been speaking to different members who are the part of the delegation who will be heading to different global capitals of the world, and a straight message that they are taking along with them as being conveyed by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri yesterday, that it is Pakistan which is harboring terrorism, and it is India who is a victim of cross-border terrorism. Yesterday in the briefing by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, it was stated to all the MPs that how Pakistan had been sponsoring terrorism for decades now, and the victim is just not India but also the entire world, and it is those terrorists who are living in Pakistan had planned several attacks across the world, including 9/11 or Mumbai's 26/11. Apart from it, yesterday it was, of course, the 3 delegations that was briefed by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. These delegations will be led by Sanjay Jha, Shrikant Shinde and Kani Mohi. These 3 groups will be leaving today and tomorrow, and the rest 4 groups would be leaving later in this week, and there would be another briefing for the rest of the 4 groups by Foreign Secretary in the Parliament. But certainly a very important message as to how India conducted Operation Sindoor and what was the objective behind them. India was never an aggressor. India retaliated and only attacked the Pakistani terror camps, the infrastructures out there. But in retaliation, India had to attack Pakistani air bases, because India came under attack after that. So all of that would be taken as a message, as a stance that why such a conflict arise between India and Pakistan, and also to isolate Pakistan on a global front. It is an outreach program that the country has started. But lastly, as far as government's point of view is concerned, the multi-party delegation that is being headed by different MPs also includes former ambassadors, also includes former MPs who had that caliber to represent India on the global stage, and they can pass on a message of India very strongly. So clearly it's going to start from today. We have been speaking to several of the MPs who are the part of the delegation, and certainly this will continue to go on till 1st of June.
Right, Aishwarya, of course, you did mention Kanimuri, who will be leaving tomorrow. She's going to be starting her visit by going to Kuwait and other areas, including, she's going to be going to Russia and going to Spain. A lot of confusion as to who's going where. There have been slight changes made to the list as well. Anushka, take us through who's heading where, how long will they be per city, who all will they be meeting, what's on the agenda. The message is loud and clear, saying that, India has, the peace-loving message that India is, going to be spreading through this delegation, while pointing fingers towards Pakistan and, that Pakistan basically exports terrorism. And that is really the message that's going to be carried through this delegation. Take us through the confusion with who's going where and for how many days.
That's right. What we do understand by now that it is going to be a 10 days tour of different global delegation that is in fact going to global, capitals to convey the message of India regarding the Pahalgam terror attack. We do know by now that today 2 delegation is in fact about to leave India. That is Group 3 and Group 4. Group 3 is headed by Sanjay Jha, who's the JDU MP, and Group 4 is headed by Shrikant Shinde, who's the MP from Shiv Sena. What we do understand by now is that they are not just going to meet the parliamentarians of different global countries, but also they will be meeting the think tanks, they will be meeting the Indian diaspora, and will make India stand clear regarding the recent tensions between India and Pakistan. India's message has been clear since day one. India had in fact stated that any act of terror on its soil will be considered as an act of war. India has said that it is a country which is focused on economic developments, and Pakistan is the country who is harboring terrorism on its soil, not just for a few years, but this goes on round and round. India has all the MPs of the global delegation have been given a dossier of proofs of not just the Pahalgam terror attack, but multiple terror attacks that has been done by Pakistan and Pakistan-based terror organizations. India has continuously said that they had not targeted any of the military, Pakistani military base on the, not just that. India has in fact also said that they had not even targeted the civilians of Pakistan. India has said that all the attacks that were done were to neutralize 9 terror camps, and when India came under attack to retaliate that, India had in fact attacked the Noor Khan, army camp. But what we also do need to understand here is that India is in fact trying to make it very clear to the global community that India stands for de-escalation, and we are a peace-loving country, but any act of terror on our soil will not be tolerated. We do know by now that the multiple delegation, there are 7 multiple party delegation that are in fact headed to different countries, and the 2 of the groups will be leaving today. We do know that after this, several of the MPs are in fact going to visit different countries. Today 2 Indian groups are in fact going. One is headed by Sanjay Jha, the second is headed by Shrikant Shinde. What we do know also, not just this, we do understand that while doing this, India is making its stand clear that any act of terror will be considered as an act of war.
Different delegations to go to different countries to make India stand clear as far as its fight against terrorism is concerned, and also to dismiss Pak's narrative at this point. Thank you to both Anushka and Aishwarya for getting us all of those details. Let's shift our focus now, Divya. The ceremonial beating retreat at the 3 joint checkposts at Athari Wagah, Hussainiwala and Satki along the Pakistan frontier in Punjab resumed on Tuesday, 2 weeks after it was suspended following Operation Sindoor. In fact, the ceremony took place under new rules and altered protocols in a restricted format without the symbolic opening of border gates during the flag lowering ceremony, Divya.
Right, of course, Radhika, this is something that started out years ago. This is the customary handshake that takes place between the BSF and the Pakistan Rangers. And like you mentioned, this had been suspended 2 weeks ago after, the attacks that took place in Pahalgam. So the ceremony has now gone through major changes, altered protocols, like you mentioned. A very restricted format is being followed without that symbolic opening of the border gate, something that would attract thousands of people to the tune of 25,000 to about 50,000 people would gather on a daily basis to be part of that beating retreat ceremony at the Wagah-Athari border that started back in 1959, which really included those synchronized marches, those high kicks, those flag lowering that took place on both sides before sunset. To know more on this, we have Gurpreet joining us. Gurpreet, so no more handshakes, no more opening of the gates. this really resumed yesterday after 2 weeks of that ceremony being suspended. Take us through the new norm going forward.
Well, yes, we have seen on Tuesday the central government has already given a green signal for resuming this beating retreat ceremony, which is happening at the 3 points at the international border. We have seen one of the attraction point is Atari Wagah border, where we have seen huge crowd has been going there to just see this beating retreat ceremony. Now, new guidelines had been issued to the local authorities saying that there will be no gate opening from both the sides, and at the same time no handshake will be between the Indian as well as the Pak Rangers. So these restrictions have already been imposed. We have seen earlier also, immediately after Pahalgam incident, we have seen these things have been implemented on the ground. There was the gates were not being opened both the sides. At the same time, handshakes were not being done by Indian as well as the Pakistan Rangers. This decision has been taken immediately after Pahalgam attack, and now with all these protocols, this beating retreat ceremony has already been resumed at Atari Wagah border along with the 2 other places also, and now they have decided this protocol will be followed. We have seen on Tuesday what we have learned, the local people and the local public, they had also been allowed to go inside to see this beating retreat ceremony. And if we can talk about Atari Wagah border, we have seen this was also one of the main tourist place where we have seen a huge number of the tourists from across the country. They come there, they are watching this beating retreat ceremony, and that could be one of the reasons why they have already restored it, resumed it, and now they are supposed to follow the new guideline which has already been issued. And somewhere down the lane, it seems they have scaled on this beating retreat ceremony to just give a very, very strong message to Pakistan at this point of time. We have seen everything is normal at this point of time, but despite having normalcy, we have seen that this decision has been taken not to allow to open the gates, and handshakes should not be happen between Indian and Pakistan Rangers. Back to studio.
Thank you so much, Gurpreet, for getting us those details. And now let's just get you more news coming in. And this is in regard to after that SIT that's been formed in order to investigate the matter when it comes to the Madhya Pradesh MP Vijay Shah. Now he has skipped a cabinet meeting, Radhika. This is, after the opposition, particularly the Congress, is asking that he should be made to step down from his position as the Tribal Affairs Minister in Madhya Pradesh. Of course, the family also, Radhika, has been asking for the dismissal of the minister. But the BJP has not taken any action, has remained silent, but now has gone on to say that action will only be taken after the investigation is completed, and that investigation will be completed by the 28th of May. So this is also obviously going to be under the supervision of that special investigation team that's going to be heading the investigation in this particular regard.
That's right. SIT will be looking into what the minister has said. In fact, a controversial minister staying away from the special cabinet meet that was called. So under fire, he skipped the cabinet meet. He also stays away from government event as well. Congress demanding dismissal. BJP not really coming out with a statement, with an official statement as far as the controversial remarks by the minister is concerned. For more on this, we're joined by Anurag. Anurag, of course, trouble certainly mounting for Vijay Shah, but the big question is, why is there a suspense over his political future? Looks like the BJP has refrained from making any sort of statement, but what is it that you're picking up as far as any sort of action against this minister is concerned? We know that Supreme Court had also slammed the comments made by him.
We broke the story yesterday itself that Vijay Shah won't be attending the cabinet meeting in Indore, and finally, after his remarks which have made national headlines and drawn tough criticism from the top court also, the opposition Congress is also demanding his removal. And yesterday, as the Mohan Yadav government celebrated the 300th birth anniversary of Malwa Queen Devi Ahilyabai Holkar, Congress again demanded his resignation. And though the state BJP chief V.G. Sharma has said that when we asked him about the minister skipping the cabinet meeting, he said that there are a few personal reasons also. Though, as our sources have said, that he won't be quitting because the BJP has made it clear that since the matter is in Supreme Court, so once the court decides anything about his political future, then only they will take some action against the minister.
All right. Thank you, Anurag, for getting us all of those details. Of course, we will keep coming back to you. Let's shift our focus to Tamil Nadu now. Divya, in the language clash, Tamil Nadu moved Supreme Court and now has filed a case against the centre in Supreme Court for withholding funds over language policy. In fact, the funds that should have reached students and teachers are being withheld deliberately by the union government due to petty politics, is something earlier Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, had also said.
That's right. M.K. Stalin over the weekend on Saturday had said that the union government has been adamant in not releasing funds to the tune of over 2,000 crore rupees. We're talking about 2,152 crore rupees to be precise, to the state of Tamil Nadu for refusing to implement the three-language policy. That is, the state government has now had no option left. Therefore, they have knocked on the doors of the Supreme Court, taken that legal route, is what the Chief Minister went on to announce. We have Sam Daniel, our colleague, joining us to get us more on this. Sam, of course, the government, they're saying that they had no option. They are paying a price for not really towing the line when it comes to the NEP, the National Education Policy, which has kicked in. And of course, the DMK government has really been standing its ground when it comes to the language policy, and which is why that, money that is due to the state is not being released. And therefore, they had no choice but to knock on the doors of the Supreme Court.
That's right, Divya and Radhika, and DMK's legal push comes after the recent big victory in the Supreme Court with regard to governors across Tamil Nadu. They ought to abide by the aid and counsel of the Council of Ministers, and they don't have any discretionary powers. In this case, interesting demands made by the ruling DMK in its plea in the Supreme Court. It wants a 6% interest on the pending 2,152 crore rupees towards the Samagra Shiksha program in Tamil Nadu. It seeks a direction that Samagra Shiksha and PM Shri should not be binding on the state governments for implementing the NEP and the three-language policy. And it also wants a declaration from the Supreme Court that the communication making these two mandatory should be called illegal. And they want 2 letters by the central government in February and March last year on this declared illegal. And it wants a declaration toward the centre, making it mandatory for it to provide the resources with regard to the obligations of paying the state grants to implement rights of children to Fee and Compulsory Education Act. The larger picture, Tamil Nadu opposes NEP and the three-language policy, calling it's an attempt to impose Hindi, and it also has issues with certain components of the national education policy, calling them to be against social justice, something which would pave way for larger dropout in schools. The BJP, of course, denies these allegations, and with elections coming up in 2026, the ruling DMK is turning the heat on the centre on issues of language, three-language policy, while the opposition is trying to turn on the heat on issues of corruption, law and order, and women's safety.
Right. Politics certainly heating up in the state of Tamil Nadu. Let's shift our focus. Thank you, Sam, for getting us those details. Let's shift our focus to Bengaluru now. In Bengaluru, nobody will be allowed to make a basement in low-lying areas after 2 people died due to flooding in a basement there in the city of Bengaluru, which is also called India's Silicon Valley. It continues to battle rain-related issue with a red alert warning in several places, and Deputy Chief Minister Divya D.K. Shivkumar has also taken stock of the situation by visiting some of the flood-hit areas and has also made certain assurances.
That's right. He's gone on to say that there will be no, as far as basement areas are concerned, construction will not be allowed. And this is on account of, like you mentioned, 2 people have died because they were stuck in the basement area that got flooded. He's gone on to say that the issue as far as rain-related issues in the city is concerned, there have been long-standing civic issues, saying that the crisis is not new. But this government is really committed to solving these with long-term sustainable solutions, not those quick fixes. And therefore, this is going to take time. The Chief Minister, while visiting those flood-affected areas, has gone on to say that they are, the government is now giving assurances that there will be changes that will be made. They will fix this problem. It might take time, but these are going to be long-term fixes that they are aiming for. Let's just also get our colleague Deepak, who is joining us to get us more on this, but also listen in to what DK Shiv Kumar had to say.
ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅನುಭವ ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಥ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಕಾನೂನೇ ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನದು ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡದೆ ಕಾರ್ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋರಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಮನೆಗಳ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಈ ಥರ ಪಂಪ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀರು ಮುಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ನೆನೆ ರಾಜರಾಜೇಶ್ವರಿ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆನೆ ಗಮನಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಇದ್ರ ಮುಂದಿನ ಇದನ್ನೇ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ.
Well, the latest update is that for the last 24 hours or more, there hasn't been any sort of heavy rainfall lashing the city of Bengaluru or surrounding areas. There has been, of course, slight, rains, moderate rainfall in certain parts of the area. But right now, the sun is peeking through the clouds, which is a welcome sign, of course. When it's overcast, especially after a heavy downpour, that would mean that there could be more rainfall, resulting, of course, in more problems for the people of Bengaluru. Now, as far as, measures to fix these problems is concerned, the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister will try to find that today as they visit various rain-hit areas in different parts of Bengaluru. They, of course, came under heavy fire yesterday when the opposition leaders, went on a city tour. They also questioned how, the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister and the entire Council of Ministers are celebrating 2 years of governance in Vijayanagara while the city is reeling under the effects of the rainfall. Today, of course, the government, led by the Chief Minister himself, will try to take stock of the situation, trying to find permanent solutions to some of these problems that exist. And more importantly, yesterday, while the Deputy Chief Minister visited HSR layout, where 2 people had lost their lives, including a 12-year-old, while trying to drain out the water from the basement, he has said that he is planning to bring in a new law where people constructing in low-lying areas will not be allowed to build a basement. They will have to, even for a car parking, they'll have to build from ground floor and above, is what he has said. We'll really have to see whether, all of these measures that they're talking about, whether they'll actually be implemented in the near future and whether it will actually result in some sort of a change on the ground.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for getting us those details. And Radhika, more rain to follow. In fact, it's the coastal belt that's going to be seeing a red alert situation. Let's just get you more news in regard to the Supreme Court that's slated to hear today a plea seeking criminal prosecution of Justice Yashwant Verma, who is embroiled in a controversy surrounding the alleged discovery of a huge pile of burned cash in the storeroom attached to his bungalow in the national capital after the fire brigade that had gone there to douse that blaze on the 14th of March. So, Radhika, it's been 2 months and action hasn't been taken against the man yet.
That's right, no concrete action. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar also expressing serious concerns over the investigation carried out by the 3-judge in-house committee regarding the corruption allegations against Justice Verma. He questioned the constitutional and legal foundation of the in-house inquiry, suggesting it lacked legitimacy. We are joined by Nupur on this. Nupur, certainly judicial integrity is under scanner at this point. Now, Supreme Court set to hear a plea seeking FIR against Justice Verma. It'll be very, very interesting to see what the Supreme Court bench will perhaps do, what kind of directives or observations it may have, as far as this plea is concerned.
Well, yes, Radhika, important petition today coming up in the top court because the petition not only seeks a criminal proceedings against Justice Yashwant Verma, but also challenges the immunity that the judges enjoy as a sitting High Court and a sitting Supreme Court judge. So far, what has been done by the top court is according to the procedure that has been laid down in the guidelines. So for now, what the Supreme Court has done is they have set up an in-house inquiry. The inquiry has submitted its report. The Chief Justice has forwarded the same report to the Parliament and the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, the Chief Justice has also requested Justice Yashwant Verma to resign from his post, which he has denied as per our sources. He has refused to resign. And after that, the ex-Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna had to forward the report to the Parliament and to the Prime Minister and the President. Now, when it comes to taking an action against the Delhi High Court judge, any sitting High Court judge or a Supreme Court judge. It will be the Parliament that will decide if they should be impeached or not. Meanwhile, on the question of criminal inquiry, it will be very important to see that will the Supreme Court revisit its previous rules, previous guidelines and, judgments which in fact protects judges from facing this kind of criminal inquiry and grants them this immunity when such cases come up.
All right. Thank you, Nupur, for bringing us those details. In fact, stay on with us for our next story as well. Supreme Court has asked petitioners challenging the Waqf laws to present a compelling case for interim relief, Divya, emphasizing the presumption of constitutionality for statutes.
That's right. Of course, Radhika, this is a case that, of course, is coming up in court today. Again, petitioners that argue that the law enables systematic appropriation of Waqf properties, dilutes Muslim representation and restricts legal remedies. Nupur back with us to get us more as far as this case is concerned. Nupur, of course, the top court, saying that they can't interfere unless there's a glaring case. But also, who asked for proof of religion is something that was said in court just yesterday. What all is expected today?
Well, yes, as you rightly said, the petitioners have raised several questions on this newly passed Waqf Amendment Act. They have said that no other religion is facing such kind of law where they are asked if they are from this particular to give a proof that they have been practicing this religion before making any donation. With that regards, that the new law has provision that after being converted to Islam, you have to be at least a practicing Muslim for 5 years to donate a Waqf property. So this was it was in this context that it was said that who asks for proof when you are donating something, and no other religion, be it Hinduism or Sikhism, is currently facing such kind of provisions. Especially no other endowments, religious endowments, has a non-practicing person in the panel. So now the petitioners have raised their apprehensions, given their arguments. But today it will be Solicitor General Tushar Mehta who will be in fact representing the centre stance in the top court, and then the top court will then again hear counter arguments from petitioners, and it will be likely that the top court passes an interim order today or day after, or whenever the next hearing comes in this case, whether with regards to the question of interim stay on certain provisions of this act.
Right, of course.
All right. Thank you, Nupur, for getting us those details. Yes, Divya.
Right, Radhika, this, the focus today is of the all-party delegation that's set to leave for abroad.
To understand what is India's take on cross-border terrorism, how is India handling, what was the outcome of Operation Sindoor and the subsequent ceasefire, what has been the attitude of Pakistan towards India. In fact, we want to very emphatically put forth before everybody that we are against any forms of terrorism, and we do not find there is any distinction between terrorists and state sponsors of terrorism. So I think we also intend to convey to the international community that we are all one, irrespective of political parties, when the safety and security of 140 crore Indians is concerned.
Ma'am, two things. You mentioned about various political parties who are also the part of multi-party delegations. There were some voices that were raised that why the consent was not taken to the political chiefs. What's your thought on that? And secondly, what's the outcome that you think after these nations visit and you'll be speaking to the counterparts over there? What's the outcome? Whether Pakistan should be completely isolated is a message that you guys are carrying?
I'll give you one very specific reason why we are going. See, to my mind, UN Security Council comprises about 15 members, 5 permanent and 10 non-permanent. Pakistan is also one of those members. We are not one. So when the UN Security Council sits, naturally India would not be there, and Pakistan would be setting its own narrative against India. So we want to set the right narrative. We want to communicate to the international community the viewpoint of India so that the countries on the UN Security Council, and those countries, those 5 countries who would be becoming the members of the Security Council very soon, would not be misled in the days to come. It's extremely important. We are reaching out to around 33 countries, as I told you, members of Security Council, and 5 who would be becoming the members. And of course, there are certain countries who are extremely important, whose voices are heard everywhere. So those countries also we are reaching out to. So I think with a lot of positivity, with a lot of optimism, we are going everywhere, and we would be communicating to them what happened during Operation Sindoor, and how has Pakistan been behaving with India. And also we want to communicate very candidly and very emphatically that the Indian government under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi is absolutely against any kind of violence and terrorist activities to be perpetrated within the boundaries of the country, and there'd be absolutely zero tolerance to terrorism, and the attitude of Pakistan must be known to everybody.
And your response to the delegation that has been formed, as I asked?
It's a wonderful composition, I must say. Prime Minister Modi rightly thought of multi-party delegation. We are going to East and the Southeastern nations. We are going to Japan, the Republic of Korea, Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Now, we are consisting of members of parliament from 4 political parties. Imagine how good it is. So it's also, understanding each other's viewpoint. And yes, I must say, with a lot of happiness that we are all one. Yesterday we were talking and we were all one. We spoke the same language against Pakistan and its activities, its negativity towards India, and its a very proactive role in promoting terrorism within the country. So I think within our country. So I think it's extremely important for all of us to communicate also a message that Prime Minister Modi's government can go to any extent to defend, or rather protect, the sovereignty of the country, and to stand by the security and the security and the safety of the people of the country. And in this fight, in this war against terrorism, irrespective of political parties, we are one.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. So that was BJP MP Aparajita Sarangi, who is heading for a 5-nation tour that will start from Japan. She is just leaving from her residence, and she clearly stated that one message is that Pakistan should be isolated, Pakistan should be cornered, and they will be speaking to different counterparts in these 5 nations that they will be visiting.
That's right, Aishwarya. Aparajita Sarangi is saying that all MPs are speaking in the same language and they need to counter Pakistan at the United Nations as well. That is the message that's being put out, Radhika.
That's right. In fact, we will slip into a short break now. And coming up next, former Telangana Chief Minister KCR has been summoned before a judicial commission. We'll be back with all of that. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Denzil Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have 2 credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, right, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Jaggi brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias
These are the visuals that are coming in. Let's go full frame with it.
For every big news story.
Now from Jammu.
You can't defend the indefensible Ruchira Kamboj, but that's what Pakistan has been doing for a very, very long time.
We are sifting through a lot of information. Some is right, some is not right. But I think we are
India tunes in to NDTV.
In fact, on NDTV, like we've been doing for the last few hours, we've been
for fast, clear and credible news.
We've also been, busting a lot of misinformation that's been coming in.
When I was standing on the road, I saw these lights going off in the sky, and I could hear
where credibility
sounds of like
comes
what sound
first.
like blasts happening.
When Pakistan started shelling and first shell landed here, you can see this.
Well, we have reached at ground zero, and this village is
NDTV. First, fast, factual.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you. It matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24x7.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
Welcome back. A big development coming in from Telangana. Divya, former Telangana Chief Minister KCR, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, has now been summoned to appear on June 5 before a judicial commission, before the Justice P.C. Ghosh Commission, which is investigating into alleged irregularities in the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project that the BRS had claimed to be an engineering marvel and brainchild of KCR.
That's right, Radhika. Now, notices have been served not just to KCR but also his nephew Harish Rao, who was the irrigation minister at the time, to appear on the 6th of June. We're talking about other people also being summoned in the case. But this is something, that was initiated by the Revant Reddy government last year in March. And now, it is a commission that is summoning KCR in the case, giving it a time frame of about 15 days to appear before the commission. To know more on this, we have Ravula Sridhar Reddy, spokesperson of the BRS, and Shyam Prasad Demeka of the Congress party joining us. Let me go across to Mr. Shyam Prasad first. K. Kavita and the BRS, of course, saying that this is nothing really but a political conspiracy in order to tarnish the image of BRS. Your reaction?
No, see, I think this is a long overdue. The summons has to come, and what is wrong, you need to go and depose before the commission. KCR or Harish Rao, they are the decision makers, and what is wrong in it? And number one, the standard script of saying it's a political witch hunt, that won't fly in this case. Even common man can see the pillars were sunk, right? There are questions on the quality of the project, clearly. So some accountability need to be fixed. Somebody need to be inquired. What are we talking about? Political vendetta and all that? It's not. At least in this case, how anybody with a reasonable mind can say this is a political witch hunt? This got to be investigated. And all right, so we'll take KCR the question and across Harish to Ravula Sridhar of the BRS as well. Mr. Shyam Prasad, you're saying that this is not political witch hunt and the investigators are doing just their job. How do you respond, Mr. Reddy, to the summons of Judicial Commission, also to what the Congress leaders said? Many of your leaders have now been summoned. Do you think there is a case made out, or are you continuing to say this is a political conspiracy by the Congress?
First, let me explain the total project in 30 seconds. Congress is trying to tarnish the image of the former Chief Minister Shri KCR, and they are trying to, show Telangana in poor light. A project which was made in record time, as you were saying, it's an engineering marvel. It is world's largest multi-purpose irrigation project, wherein the Telangana will be able to utilize 240 TMC of Godavari water, which was not the case during those governments before Telangana formation. This project is not about one barrage where 3 pillars were damaged. It's a big project, huge project, where you have 3 barrages, 15 reservoirs, 19 pumping stations, and close to 298 pressure mains, and you have 1531 kilometers gravity canals, and the storage of 140 TMC, and total utilization of the water is 240 TMC, which will irrigate more than 36 lakh of acres in Telangana. As well, it will also suffice the drinking water needs of Hyderabad in the future. As well, it will help to supply water for the industrial needs. And this is the entire project. And Congress is showing its true colors. Initially, they have made a lot of allegations. And on one barrage, in one zone called 7th zone, there was damage for 3 pillars. In general case, any government would be definitely immediately repair it and see that the water is stored and the purpose of the project is continued. But
Mr. Reddy, when we talk about the questions that are being raised is about the selection of the sites and the key decisions when it comes to those 3 barrages that you're talking about. The piers of 2 of those 3 barrages of the dam developed cracks, and that is really what prompted the investigation. So basically questions are not just being raised about those cracks. Questions are being raised about the selection of the sites itself.
See, there were proper justification for everything. Why the project has been selected to, the barrage has been selected at Medigadda, why there is Annaram, why there is Sundilla, and every reservoir, barrage, and every location is properly, selected, and there were a set of engineers worked on it. There's a department of drawings, and everything was in the knowledge of CWC. Today, because of one issue in one zone of one barrage, and Congress is trying to create a big conspiracy out of it. And their ultimate goal is to show Telangana in poor light, try to tarnish the image of Sri KCR and BRS party, so that, people will think bad about us. The ultimate goal is that there is a political motive behind this. If any government, for that matter, if you have such a big project at your disposal, you would be trying to restore the normalcy there, try to repair those 3 pillars. Whatever report you are asking for, whether it is NDSA or your own engineer's report, what the government will do? Any government with basic common sense, they will try to restore and repair it. You can do investigations, but ultimately, it's a cabinet collective decisions of the government for the development and welfare of Telangana. And Congress has no particular, commitment towards Telangana. They want the political mileage. They wanted to show us in bad light. Yes, we will have our own way of, handling this particular issue.
I'll take the question, Mr. Reddy, to Shyam Prasad of the Congress party. Mr. Shyam, this is a project that has been done for welfare of people, is what the BRS spokesperson is saying at this point. Mr. Ravula Reddy is saying that this was done for the welfare of people. This is done on a massive scale, and there is justification for every allegation that has been leveled, is something they're confidently saying. So this is to tarnish KCR and to show Telangana in poor light, is what the BRS is saying. How do you respond to this? Because looks like there is justification for every bit of allegation that has been leveled against the BRS as far as this massive project is concerned.
There are 2 points. Number one, so I'm not summarily rejecting the project, right? This is a good project. If it helps the people of Telangana, if it helps the state of Telangana, why will anybody say no to it? That is not the point. So take that away. Now, The point is, there are issues in the decisions that were taken during the construction of this. The detailed project report is the same thing that is on the ground. That is a question. There is a question. And why were the piers sunk? There are questions. And it needs to be investigated. That my friend Sridhar Reddy will also agree. It needs to be investigated.
Right. Let Mr. Reddy make his point as well. Mr. Reddy, come in.
Depose before the commission.
Let's get Mr. Reddy in. Go ahead, Mr. Reddy.
See, we as a political party, being in the government, also has clarified all these questions in the past. This particular 3 periods, definitely engineering experts will come out with their investigation. But what will a former chief minister will say on this basically? The responsibility of the construction, ensuring the quality and execution is the responsibility of the engineers concerned. The chief minister or the cabinet minister concerned will only take decisions and approve whatever finance is needed, and must be schedules, they would have reviewed and everything. But ultimately Congress party is trying to fix the responsibility. Rather, they are trying to show that KCR has done this wrong. Directly they are trying to showcase to the people of this state or in the country that KCR has done the mistake.
Right,
it's a collective
gentlemen, I'm afraid we are completely out of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
And of
course, the commission, is ready with its inquiry report, but instead of submitting it, has summoned the former chief minister, saying that instead of they have chosen to summon in order to cross-examine the ex-chief minister, and that they're not going against the principles of national justice. Thank you for speaking with us here. Well, Radhika, let's just get more news, and this is in regard to the Telangana Chief Secretary that has issued a directive to all officers in the state. These are government employees of all India and state services about the appropriate behavior when it comes to public meetings and threatening disciplinary action for any violation that comprises the dignity and the image of the official or the post of the official, Radhika.
That's right. In fact, this after an IAS officer was seen reaching out to Chief Minister's feet to seek his blessings. Officers must maintain integrity is a directive that has been given. Let's go straight across to Uma Sudhir on this. Uma, take us through the guidelines that has been issued by the Telangana Chief Secretary to government employees regarding behavior in public meetings. What exactly led to the Chief Secretary really giving out this directive?
The new Chief Secretary of Telangana, Mr. Ramakrishna Rao, has directed all the officers, not just belonging to the All India services, but also to the state services, and he has also written to the DGP to pass on the message to the IPS officers that they must maintain professionalism, decorum, and behavior in a manner that is befitting their status and their space, or rather stature, in the eyes of the public, because they must instill or inspire the confidence and trust of the public in public meetings as well as in any kind of a gathering, and that they must maintain that kind of a behavior and integrity and devotion to service. That is something that's been triggered. It is being speculated, I must point out, because the Chief Secretary per se has not made any mention of any particular incident, but it is being speculated that just a couple of days ago, the Tribal Welfare Secretary, Mr. Sharat Nayak, it had seemed that he was appearing to reach out for the feet of the Chief Minister to take his blessings. But the notice actually says that there have been multiple such instances and that officers must refrain from this kind of a behavior. Otherwise, they will be liable for disciplinary action.
Thank you so much, Uma, for getting us those details. Let's just get you more news, and this is in regard to the Indian writer, lawyer come activist Banu Mushtaq, who has scripted history by winning the International Booker Prize for her short story. This is Heartland. This is a collection of short stories, Radhika, and this is a book that was written in the Kannada language.
That's right, a book written in Kannada. In fact, she has won prestigious prize featuring 12 short stories written by Mushtaq over 3 decades from 1990 to 2023. Heart Lamp, in fact, captures stories of Muslim women living in southern India. We have Deepak with all the details.
It's a massive moment. This is, of course, one of the most prestigious awards out there, and an Indian winning that, of course, is a big feat in itself. She hails from Karnataka. You know, her works have been awarded in the state as well here. She's written at least about 6, short stories, novels, essays, and even poetry for several years now. The Karnataka Sahitya Academy, of course, has awarded her. She's been a renowned writer in Karnataka. She's written on several interesting topics, and that's what sets her apart. Like you, of course, mentioned, be it on the aspects of caste, on the aspects of community, on the aspects of patriarchy, and more. There have been various concepts that are deep-rooted. It's somewhere a sense of belonging to some of the, writings that she has. And it has been appreciated across the country, and now with her book, which was written predominantly in Kannada up until now, being translated by author Deepa there and being published in different parts of the world, recognition coming internationally as well.
Shifting to some international updates, Donald Trump unveiled his boldest military move yet in his second term, $175 billion plan to build missile defense system, and it has been called the Golden Dome, Divya.
Right, of course, Radhika, the Golden Dome, and Trump, was seated right next to a poster next to him showing this continental US painted gold with, the artistic depiction of that missile interception, saying that the system will be entirely made in the United States. So make America great again, make everything in America, and of course now carrying forward that very trend. Vishal joining us to get us the latest. Vishal, the president has announced $25 billion in its initial funding for the plan. Let's just listen in to what Donald Trump had to say. We'll come back to you after.
In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors.
Vishal, Donald Trump saying that this is very important for the success of the country, rather for the survival of the United States, but it's going to take about 3 years in the making.
Well, that is correct. So initially, as you mentioned, $25 billion has been allotted to this project, and overall in 3 years, $175 billion would be spent, and they are ready to make this operational within 3 years, and they have said that it could be, it could go even further than Iron Dome. Iron Dome, as we all know, it's one of the most modern defense mechanism that any country has on the face of the earth. So this will go few steps ahead of that, and it says that there will be interceptors even in space. So it shows you the scale of mechanism and the modernity and the technology that they have tried to employ here. So it will be interesting to see how far it goes from Iron Dome, because Iron Dome itself is quite modern and has been quite instrumental in protecting Israel's air defense. It's one of the most modern concepts in defense. So the fact that it's gone beyond that, that will be interesting to see, and it will be interesting to also see how big of an area it can protect, because as far as the claims from the US is concerned, it can even protect missiles. It can even intercept missiles coming in from other continents. So that will have to be seen in 3 years' time.
All right. And also, Vishal, if I may ask one more question, we know for a fact that US faces various missile threats from adversaries, and that sort of differs significantly from short-range weapons. So is it as a result of growing threats from perhaps Russia and China? So what exactly led to the timing of this announcement?
Well, it's the age of drone warfare. As we've seen in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, it started with, ground movement, ground conflict, but in the last 2 years or so, it has mostly been resorted to drone warfare, makeshift drones, cheap drones. So there are many rockets that have been used to protect any to protect your homeland. You need to have these mechanisms in place so that whatever comes into your territory can be intercepted. So this is another step in that direction. The US already has a lot of these defense mechanisms, but this will be one of the biggest steps that any country would have taken when it comes to air defense.
Right. All right. Thank you, Vishal, for getting us all of those details. Let's shift our focus now to the United Kingdom. UK suspends trade talks with Israel. UK, EU ratchet up pressure on Israel now. Divya, backlash over new Gaza offensive is what we are being given to understand.
That's right. Of course, on Monday is when Britain, France and Canada, Radhika, demanded that Israel stop its wholly disproportionate escalation. The appeal amounted to the sharpest condemnation yet. This is from some of Israel's most powerful supporters since a war that began 19 months ago. The message made very clear that Israel's conduct of the war, the high death toll and the humanitarian conditions were pushing the allies to the limits of what they would really be able to tolerate.
Therefore, today, I'm announcing that we have suspended negotiations with this Israeli government on a new free trade agreement. We will be reviewing cooperation with them under the 2030 bilateral roadmap. The Netanyahu's government's actions have made this necessary. Madam Deputy Speaker, today, my honourable friend, the Minister for the Middle East, is summoning the Israeli ambassador to the Foreign Office to convey this message. I say now to the people of Israel, I want a strong friendship with you based on shared values, with flourishing ties between our people and societies. We are unwavering in our commitment to your security and to your future, to countering the very real threat from Iran, the scourge of terrorism and the evils of anti-Semitism. But the conduct of the war in Gaza is damaging our relationship with your government.
Moving on to some updates from Cannes Festival. Neeraj Ghaiwan's Homebound, Divya, premieres at Cannes 2025 in the Uncertain Regard section, marking a major moment for Indian cinema.
And walking the red carpet, Radhika, was Janhvi Kapoor in a custom-made Tarun Tahliani outfit. And we saw Ishan Khattar also in head-to-toe in that velvet burgundy suit. Also, actor Vishal Jetu from their very film was also seen, and there Karan Johar. And we also have Natasha Poonawalla there at the Cannes Film Festival.
All right, with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. We will, of course, be back with more news and updates. Stay tuned with NDTV.
Same time, same place. Stay tuned. Lots more coming up on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics.
I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colours.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
More news that matters.
Big exclusive. Tulsi Gabbard gunned down by Pakistan-backed cowards.
When you interact with people on ground.
In the language face-off, Tamil Nadu government moves the Supreme Court. The government says funds are withheld for not adopting the national education policy. The Justice PC Ghosh Commission, investigating alleged irregularities in the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project, has issued summons to former Telangana Chief Minister and BRS President K. Chandrasekhar Rao. As India's Operation Sindoor global outreach starts today, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri briefed the members. The first MP delegations head out today to UAE. In the Judge Cash Rao, the top court is expected to hear the plea. The Supreme Court agrees to hear the plea seeking an FIR against Justice Verma in the Cash Rao. An NDTV exclusive. The global ratings agency Moody on India says that India is in a unique position amid ongoing global turmoil. US President Donald Trump unveiled plans for a Golden Dome missile shield system to protect the country against attacks. It's 10 a.m. You are watching NDTV 24x7. I'm Parmeshwar, Bawa. We've got an action-packed bulletin lined up for you. Let's begin with a big focus at the moment. In the language clash, Tamil Nadu has moved the Supreme Court and filed a case against the centre in the Supreme Court for withholding funds over the language policy. The funds that should have reached students and teachers are being withheld by the union government due to petty politics. This is what Mr. Stalin claims. The Chief Minister had also said that the union government has been adamant in not releasing funds to the tune of 2,100 crore rupees to Tamil Nadu for refusing to implement the three-language policy. Now, the state government is seeking legal recourse in the Supreme Court. Sam Daniel has been tracking all the finer details for us. He joins us live at the moment. Sam, so Tamil Nadu has filed a plea against the centre in the Supreme Court for withholding funds allegedly over the language policy?
That's right, Parmeshwar. The Tamil Nadu government is making three key demands. One, it wants a 6% interest on the 2,152 crore rupees withheld by the central government. Secondly, it wants a direction that the centre cannot link funding and implementation of the programs like Samagra Shiksha and PM Shri. And thirdly, it says only if there is a written agreement between the centre and the state with respect to implementation of the Samagra Shiksha program and the PM Shri program, then the centre can impose its conditions for funding. But otherwise, for an ongoing program without such written agreements, the centre cannot withhold funds. And the state is also seeking direction from the Supreme Court to make it mandatory on the part of the central government to share funds with Tamil Nadu to fulfill its obligations under the Right to Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act before the commencement of every academic year. And this Supreme Court move comes after the recent big victory obtained by Tamil Nadu government from the Supreme Court with respect to the powers of the governors and the Supreme Court framing a timeline for governors to dispose bills presented or passed by state assemblies across Tamil Nadu. The larger political picture in the run-up to the 2026 elections, the ruling DMK is making language and what it calls discrimination of funds or funding by the centre to states ruled by the opposition like Tamil Nadu, a key poll issue, even as the opposition parties, including the principal opposition, AIADMK, its ally, the BJP, are making corruption, women's safety, law and order key issues before the state elections due next year.
Clarify though, even though the DMK says that the centre is withholding these crucial funds, citing the NEP, the centre meanwhile has said that they have no objection to release the funds?
They've said that, but we should also take into account the comments made by Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan on the floor of the House and outside that they withheld funds only because the Tamil Nadu government has not accepted the national education policy and the three-language policy, which the ruling DMK and even its opposition, the AIADMK, look at as an attempt to impose Hindi. The centre, of course, denies these allegations, saying that the three-language policy is only an attempt to strengthen native Indian languages. It does not impose Hindi, but it only provides an opportunity for Indian children to learn any other language beyond their mother tongue and English language. But the ruling DMK argues that on the ground, even the way it works at Kendra Vidyalaya schools, other language options to be taught will not be available and children will be forced to opt only for Hindi.
Sam, as always, thank you so much for taking us through the latest details and also contextualizing the latest details for us. For further political clarity on the matter, let's go across to both the DMK and the BJP. Joining us over the phone lines from the DMK, we have with us Sarvanan Annadurai, national spokesperson. From the BJP, we have Narayanan Tirupati, who's the Vice President of BJP Tamil Nadu. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for us and joining us on NDTV. Mr. Annadurai, to you first. Your party alleges that the centre is withholding about 2,100 crore rupees as a pressure tactic to force Tamil Nadu to implement the national education policy. On what basis do you make this claim, given the centre has not publicly linked the fund release to education policy compliance, even though, as Sam has highlighted, we've heard Dharmendra Pradhan's remarks?
Yeah. See, everything is linked to this new education policy. The SSA scheme, which is tied to the Right to Education Act, 2,291 crores was supposed to be released for the last year. They refused to release this amount. They said, you refuse to implement the PMCD schools. That is the reason why we will not release these funds. But the PMCD schools mandates new education policy and the three-language formula, both of which are not implemented in the state of Tamil Nadu. See, without this national education policy and the three-language formula, we are willing to go ahead with this PMCD schools. But when we have this national education policy, which Tamil Nadu government has rejected, the people of Tamil Nadu has voted against the national education policy. We canvassed, we fought the elections 2021 that we will not implement this national education policy and we will frame our own policy. So this is what has been going on. And Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, all the communications letters clearly state that since the PMC schools have not been formed, we have not consented to form this PMCD schools. This funds, SSA funds relating to 2,291 crores will not be given to the state of Tamil Nadu. This is the clear and categorical stand taken by the union government. Now, the Supreme Court has clarified. In a petition filed by a busybody, the Supreme Court has said you cannot mandate a state to follow the policy.
Right.
So the Supreme Court has taken a stand, and that is why we have filed this case.
Well, let's bring in the BJP as well. We've got Mr. Tirupati with us. So the centre has withheld funds from Tamil Nadu but has not officially tied it to the NEP or the PM Shri implementation. The centre also said there's no objection in releasing the funds, as we understand. So why hasn't it been done yet? Can you clarify the official reasons behind this decision?
A complete misunderstanding and misinterpretation on the part of the state government, particularly the Dravida model DMK, which is trying to confuse people of Tamil Nadu. When three-language formula or three languages are being taught in all private institutions, that's owned by the DMK members, DMK leaders itself. This DMK government doesn't want the poor rural government school students to learn one more language. This is the issue. This is the main problem. And they say that it is the government's policy, Tamil Nadu's policy. Tamil Nadu's policy means it should be equal to all. That is called social justice. Whereas the rich people, rich students, they learn 3 languages. Whereas the poor rural government school students, they don't learn. And as far as PMC is concerned, very clearly, the Tamil Nadu government has signed, and they said that they will definitely enter into, the central government's initiatives. But unfortunately, in spite of in writing they have given, suddenly they turned again and said that they will not do it. This is the issue, and that is where they are welcome to go to the court. The court, I fully hope that will definitely rule in favor of the centre.
Right. Mr. Anantharai, your party has indicated that this is part of a broader pattern of political pressure on opposition ruled states.
Yeah.
But just tell us, this fund withholding, how is this impacting school education on the ground in Tamil Nadu?
See, that's what this 2,291 crores with this SSA scheme is tied to the right to education. So many schools which are dependent on this fund from right to education, they will not be able to be modernized.
Right.
They will not get the latest gadgets, latest upgrades. That is the problem. And the union government, they want to saffronize everything. And for saffronizing, when we resist saffronization, they penalize the students. You think it is the Tamil Nadu government or the DMK going to take this 2,291 crores and walk away? Do they think that this is an electoral bond so that you can take a bulk of money and have thousands and thousands of crores in your bank account? This is something which is due to the people of Tamil Nadu. The union government collects share, tax from the people of Tamil Nadu, and we want that devolution of tax. What's wrong in that? And the BJP has the audacity to say, we will not release it. Who are you? It is not your mandate.
All right.
It is the mandate, the constitutional mandate to release funds. You cannot betray the people of Tamil Nadu like this.
That is something that the DMK has asserted time and again. The DMK, though, claiming that the union government wants to saffronize everything. Mr. Tirupati, is the centre concerned that withholding these funds could negatively affect education outcomes in Tamil Nadu? And if so, how do you actually balance that against whatever criteria you have for releasing these funds?
The quality of education is very, very bad in Tamil Nadu, and that is the reason.
On what basis have you made that claim, sir?
See, in one particular center, 167 students got 100 marks, and 200 people got 99 marks. Tell me in chemistry how it is possible. Either the question paper should have been leaked, or the answer paper should have been given, or the correction should have been wrong. This is what we are saying. It is happening throughout. And this is what, see, in the Samagra Shiksha scheme, the central government released the funds to Tamil Nadu, 800 crores for the last 3-4 years for setting up of labs, computer labs, and appointing computer teachers. But the Tamil Nadu government, in spite of taking the funds, did not do it. It spent for some other purpose. This is a big scam. It is not the central government is playing. It is the Tamil Nadu state government, Dravida model, DMK, is looting poor government schools' money and using it for their needs. This is the issue.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm afraid that's all the time I have on this discussion. Really appreciate your time and the fact that you joined us on NDTV. But in this ongoing language clash, as we have been covering, Tamil Nadu has moved the Supreme Court and filed a case against the centre in the Supreme Court for withholding funds. They claim they've withheld these funds over the language policy, but the centre has categorically said that they are ready to release these funds as and when is possible. Well, with that, let's turn our attention to the other big story we're tracking. Former Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has been summoned to appear on the 5th of June before the Justice PC Ghosh Commission, investigating alleged irregularities in the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project that the BRS had claimed to be an engineering marvel and brainchild of KCR. Notices were also served to KCR's nephew, Harish Rao, who was the irrigation minister at that time. He's going to appear on the 6th of June. Uma Sudhir joins you with the further details, and we also spoke to the BRS and Congress for their takes. Listen in.
quite dramatic that former Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has been summoned by the PC Ghosh committee to appear before the commission and to explain his point of view, because after the commission was constituted headed by the Justice PC Ghosh, several officers, multiple departments, all of them had deposed before the commission, and all of that has been put out into a report. But it is very, very critical that the political leadership of that time also be summoned, and the views that are being given by different officers be corroborated with what the political leadership has to say, because what we understand is that most of the officers had said that the location of the barrages as well as the design and the finances, all of that was personally handled by the then Chief Minister Mr. KCR, and I would say that even the BRS government at that time had taken a lot of credit or given a lot of credit to the then Chief Minister Mr. K. Chandrasekhar Rao, saying that he had taken a personal interest and in fact literally drawn up the design for the Kaleshwaram barrages, where the barrages would be located and what kind of a design may be best suited under those conditions. All of that was personally overseen by the former Chief Minister, and therefore he now being called in by the commission is quite critical. And as you mentioned, the Irrigation Minister of that time, who also happens to be KCR's nephew, Mr. Harish Rao, and also you have the Etele Rajender, who was then Finance Minister. Of course, he has also held the health portfolio, but it is in his capacity as a Finance Minister of that time, though subsequently he became a BJP MP. Etele Rajender has been summoned on the 9th of June. The term of the commission itself has been extended multiple times, and right now the term of the commission has been extended till the 31st of July, which means by then the commission will have to submit its report by the 31st of July.
In other crucial news, India's global outreach to brief world powers on Operation Sindoor and expose Pakistan's link to terror begins today. The team led by JDU MP Sanjay Jha will be the first to leave. And Anushka, I believe, is with Mr. Jha at the moment. Anushka, it's over to you.
That's right. The whole team has in fact started arriving at the airport in a few minutes. Everyone will gather at the ceremonial lounge at the T3 airport. This whole global outreach team is in fact going to different global communities and trying to take the stand of India and India's stance of how this Pahalgam attack took place, to clear the stand regarding terrorism and the terror attacks that took place on Indian soil. We have with us Mr. Sanjay Jha, who is in fact leading Group 3 who's in fact going to visit different nations. Also, he's in the JDU MP who's going to in fact lead the delegation of Group 3. Several of the MPs are in fact also joined with him. Several of the MPs are in fact have started arriving. Also, we'll show you the visuals right now. Parajita Sarangi, who has just went inside, and several of the MPs who are in fact right now going inside the ceremonial lounge for leaving. And in a few while they will be in fact leaving. We have Sanjay Jha with us. Sir, आप लोग आज निकलने वाले हैं, आप ग्रुप 3 को लीड कर रहे हैं, अलग अलग देशों में आप जाएंगे, भारत का जो मैसेज है वो आप दुनिया भर में पहुंचाने वाले हैं. किस तरीके से देखते हैं और किस तरीके से प्रिपेयर्ड हैं आप?
देखिए, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी 7 डेलीगेशन जो भेज रहे हैं, तो हम लोग का डेलीगेशन अभी जा रहा है और हम लोग जा रहे हैं जापान, साउथ कोरिया, इस एरिया में जा रहे हैं. मेन उद्देश्य जो है, जो पाकिस्तान की स्टेट पॉलिसी है, ये आतंकवाद जो है 40 साल से ये देश झेल रहा है और उसका स्टेट और आर्मी दोनों के द्वारा स्पॉन्सर किया हुआ, पैट्रोनाइज किया हुआ, फंड दिया हुआ, ट्रेनिंग दिया हुआ, ये आतंकवाद इस देश में झेलना पड़ता है. जो दुनिया के इसका सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र है भारत, दुनिया की 5th इकॉनमी है, रिस्पॉन्सिबल सरकार है, और जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान ये करता है तो उसको जा कर के बेनकाब करना जो कहते हैं वो जा कर के बताना. एक ये, दूसरा न्यूक्लियर ब्लफ कि हम लोग जापान जा रहे हैं. अगर दुनिया में कहीं न्यूक्लियर वो रहा है तो वो जापान रहा है. न्यूक्लियर ब्लफ जो है कि न्यूक्लियर वॉर हो जाएगा और इसके बदले हम टेररिज्म करते रहेंगे, यहाँ आकर के मारते रहेंगे, तो इस बात को भी है कि ये हो नहीं सकता. तीसरा जो है, जो इंडस वैली ट्रीटी है जो 1960 में, उसका सबसे बड़ा जो इशू था उसमें ये था कि दोनों देश में फ्रेंडली एंड कोऑपरेशन रहेगा. तो कोई फ्रेंडली कॉपरेशन है क्या उसकी तरफ से? तो बात तो वहीं ख़त्म हो गई। उसके बाद चीज़ें बदल गई। इंडिया का इंटरेस्ट में वो ट्रीटी है ही नहीं, क्योंकि आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते हैं। क्लाइमेट चेंज हो गया, तो इसलिए उस ट्रीटी पर बात रखना और इंडिया के पक्ष को रखना, यही हम लोग का मुद्दा।
कल हमने देखा था विक्रम मिस्री जो फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी हैं, उन्होंने एक ब्रीफिंग की थी, आप लोग भी इस ब्रीफिंग में मौजूद थे। किस तरीके से आपने रोड मैप प्रिपेयर किया है अलग अलग देशों में जाकर के भारत के मुद्दे को सामने रखा?
वही तो मेनली बताया कि इसी लाइन पर हम लोगों का जा करके ब्रीफ करना है। पाकिस्तान में, दुनिया में आतंकवाद कहीं होता है तो उसका कहीं न कहीं जड़ पाकिस्तान में मिल जाता है। पूरा दुनिया में बिन लादेन नहीं मिला, आज फाइनली जा करके पाकिस्तान में ही मिला। अब देखिए ना, तो उसका तो पूरा का पूरा पॉलिसी, पूरा कंट्री थ्राइव करता है आतंकवाद पर, और स्टेट पॉलिसी कुछ है नहीं वहाँ, पूरा का पूरा आतंकवाद है, उसका ब्लैकमेलिंग है। इसको एक्सपोज करना जा करके पूरे दुनिया में, तो डिप्लोमेटिकली तो होता था, लेकिन पॉलिटिकल लेवल पर भी ये बात जा करके रखना, तो ये पूरा दुनिया में जाके हम लोग बताएंगे। और जो भारत का पक्ष है, जो एक प्रधानमंत्री जी ने और सरकार ने जो कहा है न्यू नॉर्मल, कि अब एनफ इज एनफ, बहुत हो गया, और हम लोग अब जहाँ भी इस तरह का हमारे साथ घटना होगा तो हम लोग भी अपने हिसाब से डिसीजन लेंगे।
पाकिस्तान भी सिमिलरली कह रहे हैं कि अपने एमपीज को भेजेंगे अलग अलग जगह पर, और अपना मतलब पाकिस्तान का जो स्टैंड है वो रखेंगे, उसके ऊपर
अब अपना भेजेंगे, लेकिन पूरा दुनिया जानती है, ये कोई छुपा हुआ नहीं है, तो पूरा दुनिया जानती है ना कि जो टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटी का अगर सबसे बड़ा इपिक सेंटर है तो पाकिस्तान है। सारा एक्टिविटी, सारे टेररिस्ट वहीं क्यों जाके मिल जाता है? तो इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि कोई पूरा दुनिया अभी यही इशू रहा, बारिंग एक दो कंट्री को छोड़ दीजिए जिनका जो भी इंटरेस्ट रहा हो, पूरा दुनिया इसमें भारत के साथ है इस इशू।
Thank you so much and all the very best, sir. So this was, JDU MP Sanjay Jha with us, who has just said that on diplomatical level there were always talks happening between India and Pakistan, and also the nation around this whole message was being given. But now this will be done politically. The global outreach program is not just to tell about India's military stance, but also the non-military stance about how the Indus Water Treaty has been held in abeyance, because India was not, in fact, the country who was getting the whole benefit of the Indus Water Treaty. And not just that, they will be in fact exposing Pakistan. They have a whole dossier. They were briefed by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri yesterday, and these are the lines on which they will be in fact visiting different nations and putting the stance of India on the global platform. Over to you.
As always, Anushka, thank you so much for joining us with the latest. As Anushka was reporting, the team led by JDU MP Sanjay Jha will be among the first to leave. The delegation will travel to Indonesia, Malaysia, the Republic of Korea, Japan, and Singapore as well. It also comprises BJP MPs Aprajita Sarangi, Brijlal, Hemang Joshi, the Trinamool Congress's Abhishek Banerjee. In fact, my colleague Aishwarya Jain had the chance to speak to BJP's Aprajita Sarangi just a short while ago. Listen in to what Ms. Sarangi told NDTV.
With me is BJP MP Aprajita Sarangi, who is all set to leave for a 5-nation tour. Ma'am, you are the part of delegation that is led by Sanjay Jha. You're going to Japan first. What's the idea of this multi-party delegation that is going to different nations, and what's the message that you are carrying forward?
Prime Minister Modi and his government thought of sending 7 groups of MPs and ex-diplomats to different countries, and we will be covering around 33 countries. I must tell you what is the basis of choosing these countries. In fact, we were adequately briefed by the Foreign Secretary yesterday. And the basic reason is we are reaching out to those countries who are members of the UN Security Council. We are reaching out to those countries, those 5 countries who would be becoming the members of the Security Council. And we are also reaching out to a couple of countries who are extremely important in the international arena, whose voices are heard everywhere. So I think in total around 33 countries would be visited by all of us. And we are going with a lot of positivity and with a lot of optimism, I can say. The major reason why Prime Minister Modi and his government thought of sending us is we need to communicate India's stance on cross-border terrorism to the international community. It's extremely important for different countries to understand what is India's take on cross-border terrorism, how is India handling, what was the outcome of Operation Sindoor and the subsequent ceasefire, what has been the attitude of Pakistan towards India. In fact, we want to very emphatically put forth before everybody that we are against any forms of terrorism, and we do not find there is any distinction between terrorists and state sponsors of terrorism. So I think we also need to, we also intend to convey to the international community that we are all one, irrespective of political parties, when the safety and security of 140 crore Indians is concerned.
Well, in other news, the ceremonial beating retreat at 3 joint checkposts at Atari Wagah, Hussainiwala and Satki along with the Pakistan frontier in Punjab resumed on Tuesday, nearly a fortnight after it was suspended following Operation Sindoor. Sources have said that the ceremony had started under altered protocols and in a restricted format without the symbolic opening of border gates during the flag lowering ceremony and the customary handshake between the BSF and the Pakistan Rangers. The traditional handshake during the border ceremony was suspended in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack on the 22nd of April. But now the BSF says the ceremony was held exclusively for media personnel on Tuesday at 6 p.m, while the public will be allowed to attend from Wednesday. My colleague Gurpreet takes you through all the new rules.
Seen on Tuesday, the central government has already given a green signal for resuming this beating retreat ceremony, which is happening at the 3 points at the international border. We have seen one of the attraction point is Atari Wagah border, where we have seen huge crowd has been going there to just see this beating retreat ceremony. Now, new guidelines had been issued to the local authorities saying that there will be no gate opening from both the sides, and at the same time no handshake will be between the Indian as well as the Pak Rangers. So these restrictions have already been imposed. We have seen earlier also immediately after Pahalgam incident, we have seen these things have been implemented on the ground. There was the gates were not being opened both the sides. At the same time, handshakes were not being done by Indian as well as the Pakistan Rangers. This decision has been taken immediately after Pahalgam attack, and now with all these protocols, this beating retreat ceremony has already been resumed at Atari Wagah border along with the 2 other places also, and now they have decided this protocol will be followed. We have seen on Tuesday what we have learned, the local people and the local public, they had also been allowed to go inside to see this beating retreat ceremony. And if we can talk about Atari Wagah border, we have seen this was also one of the main tourist place where we have seen a huge number of the tourists from across the country. They come there, they are watching this beating retreat ceremony, and that could be one of the reasons why they have already restored it, resumed it, and now they are supposed to follow the new guideline which has already been issued. And somewhere down the line, it seems they have scaled on this beating retreat ceremony to just give a very, very strong message to Pakistan at this point of time. We have seen everything is normal at this point of time, but despite having normalcy, we have seen that this decision has been taken not to allow to open the gates, and handshakes should not be happen between Indian and Pakistan Rangers. Back to studio.
And with that, let's turn our attention now to the Apex Court. Well, the Supreme Court is slated to hear a plea seeking criminal prosecution of Justice Yashwant Verma, who is embroiled in a controversy surrounding the alleged discovery of a huge pile of burnt cash in the storeroom that was attached to his bungalow in the national capital, after the fire brigade had actually gone there to douse a blaze back in March, on the 14th of March to be precise. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar had expressed serious concerns over the investigation carried out by the 3-judge in-house committee regarding Justice Yashwant Verma's corruption allegations. He also questioned the constitutional and legal foundation of the in-house inquiry, suggesting it lacked legitimacy. My colleague Nupur has been tracking the finer developments for us. She joins us over the phone line at the moment. Nupur, 2 months the investigation is still ongoing. Meanwhile, there have been questions about bigger sharks that may have not come to the fore yet. But today, the Supreme Court is expected to take up this plea seeking an FIR?
Yes, of course, the Supreme Court has in fact now decided to hear this petition Remember, earlier the Supreme Court had refused to entertain the petition, saying that the in-house panel is probing the case and it cannot hear this petition at that stage. But now the Supreme Court has today listed this petition and it will be hearing the prayers which have now sought a criminal investigation in the matter. Remember, as the judges of High Court and Supreme Court enjoy certain privileges and protection under the current law and guidelines, it was not possible to initiate an FIR. And as per the procedure, the ex-CGI had in fact now sent the panel's report, 3-judge panel who had in fact investigated the matter. The report has been sent to the Prime Minister and the President of the country, and what happens next will be totally Parliament's call when it comes to impeachment of Justice Yashwant Verma, if there is any foul play found there. However, sources have suggested that Sanjeev Khanna, ex-CGI, had in fact asked Justice Yashwant Verma to resign after the in-house panel had indicted him in its report, but he had refused to resign. So now it will be important to see that what the Supreme Court says on these prayers that seek a criminal investigation against him.
Right, do stay on with us for the next update as well. Nupur, as I tell our viewers that the Supreme Court has asked petitioners challenging the Waqf laws to present a compelling case for interim relief, emphasizing the presumption of constitutionality for statutes. Petitioners argue that the law enables systematic expropriation of Waqf properties, dilutes Muslim representation and restricts legal remedies too. My colleague Nupur is with us for a quick update at the moment as well. Nupur, as you've been reporting, the Supreme Court has categorically said that they cannot interfere unless there's a glaring case, but the top court is expected to resume the hearing today?
Yes, yesterday the Supreme Court has in fact heard majority of the petitioners in the case, while one or two counsel are still left to represent from the petitioners' side. After that, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta will in fact present center's views and arguments against the arguments made by petitioners yesterday. And the Supreme Court will in fact be hearing the counter arguments from the petitioner's side after that, and then we can expect an interim order or an order on the lines of Supreme Court Supreme Court stand whether there should be a interim stay or not. Meanwhile, the plea is pending in the court.
So much, Nupur, as always, for joining us with the latest. With that, let's turn our attention now to Bengaluru, where heavy rain once again brought the city to a standstill, and a political blame game quickly followed. The Karnataka Home Minister said BBMP officials were working on the ground to clear rainwater, clearing his government of any blame. But opposition parties tore into the Congress government. In fact, the BJP, Sunil Kumar Karkala from the BJP lashed out at Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and Deputy Chief Minister DK Shiv Kumar, saying Bengaluru is drowning and the government is celebrating. But today, both the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister are scheduled to inspect rain-affected areas. In fact, Mr. DK Shiv Kumar has said that he was deeply concerned and he's monitoring the situation in constant touch with officers. While the politics of it is playing out, you must also note there's an orange alert that's been issued for the next 3 hours in coastal Karnataka and parts of Bidar as well. Listen in to what DK Shiv Kumar had to say, followed by my colleague Deepak Bopanna's ground report.
ಅನುಭವ ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಥ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಕಾನೂನೇ ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನದು ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡದೆ ಕಾರ್ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲೋರಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಮನೆಗಳ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಈ ಥರ ಪಂಪ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀರು ಮುಚ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ನೆನೆ ರಾಯರೋಶಿ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಗಮನಿಸಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಮುಂದಿನ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ
Well, the latest update is that for the last 24 hours or more, there hasn't been any sort of heavy rainfall lashing the city of Bengaluru or surrounding areas. There has been, of course, slight, rains, moderate rainfall in certain parts of the area. But right now, the sun is peeking through the clouds, which is a welcome sign, of course. When it's overcast, especially after a heavy downpour, that would mean that there could be more rainfall, resulting, of course, in more problems for the people of Bengaluru. Now, as far as, measures to fix these problems is concerned, the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister will try to find that today as they visit various rain-hit areas in different parts of Bengaluru. They, of course, came under heavy fire yesterday when the opposition leaders, went on a city tour. They also questioned how, the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister and the entire Council of Ministers are celebrating 2 years of governance in Vijayanagara while the city is reeling under the effects of the rainfall. Today, of course, the government, led by the Chief Minister himself, will try to take stock of the situation, trying to find permanent solutions to some of these problems that exist. And more importantly, yesterday, while the Deputy Chief Minister visited HSR layout, where 2 people had lost their lives, including a 12-year-old, while trying to drain out the water from the basement, he has said that he's planning to bring in a new law where people constructing in low-lying areas will not be allowed to build a basement. They will have to, even for a car parking, they'll have to build from ground floor and above, is what he has said. We'll really have to see whether, all of these measures that they're talking about, whether they'll actually be implemented in the near future and whether it will actually result in some sort of a change on the ground.
And as always, news and updates continue right here on NDTV 24/7. Slipping into a very quick commercial break for now.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Denzil Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have 2 credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters.
Welcome back. An NDTV exclusive. Well, India is well positioned to deal with the negative effects of US tariffs and global trade disruptions due to its large domestic economy and low dependence on exports. This is what Moody's rating said in a report published today. India-made goods may even benefit from increased US demand if trade talks lead to lower tariffs on India compared to other emerging markets, according to the ratings agency. In fact, our colleagues at NDTV Profit spoke to Nikki Dang, the Senior Vice President at Moody's. Here's what Ms. Dang told us.
Take us through what the key view is coming in on India in relative terms.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. Yes, indeed, as I highlighted, the report highlights India's unique position among this global trade turmoil because of the few factors you mentioned. That is, smaller exposure to the U.S. Goods exports, and plus the strong domestic growth drivers, including large domestic market and very robust domestic assumptions and recovered domestic consumptions. And just to put things in perspective, India's goods exports to the U.S. only accounts for less than 3% of GDP. That really compares to the high single digits or even over 20% of some of the emerging peers India's got there. So it's much smaller exposure here. And another thing adjacent to export, that is, India has a growing share of service exports, and it's growing to almost half, accounts for half of the total exports of the country. And just keep in mind, service exports is not really subject to this current tariff play. And one last thing I want to mention is the large domestic market and domestic consumption. It's the nature of India's growth drivers, and this is further bolstered by the government supports fiscal policies such as the personal tax cut announced in the budget.
Nikki, so to put all of that into a number that everybody looks at, what is your assumption of economic growth for India in the context of concerns, worries about global growth, even though you have a few pockets of strength here and there?
Yes, indeed. After the observation of the turmoil coming through the market, after the so-called Liberation Day with high reciprocal tariff announced by the U.S. administration, in our early May release of our new forecast, we did cut across the G20 growth forecast collectively to 1.9% from 2.5%. For the emerging market in particular, it's down to 3.6% for this year from 4%. India, on the other hand, it did suffer a smaller cut. Our view now is for the calendar year 2025, our forecast is now down to 6.3%. And compared to our 6.7%, the number released in February of this year. And just keep that in mind, India remains the fastest growing economy among the G20. So there is definitely the downside play by what's going on in the rest of the world with the trade disruption whatsoever, and also the balancing it off with the strong momentum domestic growth drivers is putting in, and together with favorable credit conditions domestically.
And with that, let's get you the crucial update from the United States. In a dramatic Oval Office announcement, Donald Trump unveiled his boldest military move yet in his second term, a $175 billion plan to build an ultra-ambitious missile defense system dubbed the Golden Dome. And no, it's not just a shinier version of Israel's Iron Dome. Donald Trump claims this one can track and destroy threats from anywhere, even outer space. Just listen in to what the US president had to say about the Golden Dome.
In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors.
My colleague Vishal Vivek has been tracking the latest for us. He joins us live at the moment. Vishal, take our viewers through all the claims that Donald Trump has made regarding this Golden Dome and also the hefty price tag.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It has a hefty price tag, and that runs up to $500 billion over a period of 20 years. When it comes to the first 3 years, that's when the US administration is aiming for it to be fully operational. They are willing to spend as much as $175 billion. The first year will be allotted $25 billion. And there are several interceptors that are expected to be unveiled when the project is fully operational. These interceptors can intercept missiles from other continents, other countries, also from space. So what they're willing to do here and what they're aiming to do here is to build up on what Iron Dome has done for Israel in the recent past, because we all know how successful Iron Dome has been in protecting Israel's airspace. So they are willing to go a couple of steps further than that and introduce interceptors that can have intercepting abilities from space as well. So that will be a huge development, and this comes amid a lot of warfare that's revolved around drone warfare, particularly when it comes to Russia-Ukraine war, when it comes to the recent India-Pakistan conflict as well. A lot of drones were used, a lot of missiles were used. So these intercepting capabilities have been under the focus of many countries. So that is what US is trying to build on.
As always, Vishal, thank you so much for breaking down the details for us. And speaking of Israel, well, UK-Israeli relations have plunged to their worst state for decades after the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy suspended negotiations over a new free trade deal, saying Israel's cabinet ministers' calls to purify Gaza by expelling Palestinians were repellent, monstrous, and extremist. He also said wider talks about a future bilateral strategic roadmap with Israel were being reviewed, and at the same time, EU foreign ministers meeting in Brussels decided to review the bloc's trade agreement with Israel. Listen in to what David Lammy, Sir Keir Starmer had to say before we take you through Ollie Barrett's report from London.
Therefore, today, I'm announcing that we have suspended negotiations with this Israeli government on a new free trade agreement. We will be reviewing cooperation with them under the 2030 bilateral roadmap. The Netanyahu's government's actions have made this necessary, Madam Deputy Speaker. Today, my honourable friend, the Minister for the Middle East, is summoning the Israeli ambassador to the Foreign Office to convey this message. I say now to the people of Israel, I want a strong friendship with you based on shared values, with flourishing ties between our people and societies. We are unwavering in our commitment to your security and to your future, to countering the very real threat from Iran, the scourge of terrorism, and the evils of anti-Semitism. But the conduct of the war in Gaza is damaging our relationship with your government.
But first, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say something about the horrific situation in Gaza, where the level of suffering, innocent children being bombed again, is utterly intolerable. Mr. Speaker, over the weekend we coordinated a response with our allies, as set out in my statement with President Macron and Prime Minister Carney last night. And I want to put on record today that we're horrified by the escalation from Israel. We repeat our demand for a ceasefire as the only way to free the hostages. We repeat our opposition to settlements in the West Bank. And we repeat our demand to massively scale up humanitarian assistance into Gaza. The recent announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza, a basic quantity, is totally and utterly inadequate. So we must coordinate our response, because this war has gone on for far too long. We cannot allow the people of Gaza to starve.
The UK has paused any trade talks with Israel. It is also introducing sanctions, including asset freezes and travel bans on 3 individuals and 4 companies, in the words of the government, who are carrying out heinous abuses of human rights. Israel's ambassador to the UK has also been summoned to speak to one of the UK's Middle East ministers, so that, according to David Lammy, it can be conveyed that the Netanyahu government's actions have made this necessary. Now, Israel, for its part, says that actually trade talks weren't moving anywhere anyway, that progress was not being made on trade discussions with the Keir Starmer government, and it also says that external pressure won't divert it from its aims. It was the Foreign Secretary David Lammy who set out this course of action from the UK government in the House of Commons. There were some, at times, angry and certainly passionate scenes in the House of Commons as he did so. Priti Patel, who spoke for the opposition Conservatives, insisted that the action that the UK government is taken would be being welcomed by Hamas, she said. But there were also some Labour MPs from David Lammy's own party who want the government to go further and suggest that they believe the government should now put in place a complete arms embargo on Israel. We are not at that point yet, but the UK government says it absolutely will consider further action if it believes it is necessary. We also know that several European Union member states are also recommending that the EU pause its trade association with Israel as a result of the humanitarian issues in Gaza and the expanding military operation from Israel there. Certainly in the last 24 hours or so, relations between the UK and Israel have deteriorated significantly. There's also been a significant shift in tone from the UK government, which believes that the conditions in Gaza as a result of Israel's actions are, it says, intolerable. As I say, the UK government insisting that it will go further in the days and weeks ahead if it believes it's necessary. Ollie Barrett, NDTV, London.
And with that, let's turn our attention now. What if your next Google search didn't just give you links, but gave you the answer, planned your trip, booked your tickets, and maybe even emailed your boss to tell them you're off to Bali? Sounds wild, right? Welcome to AI Mode, the biggest transformation of Google search in 25 years. You may have spotted it recently if you're not in India, a new tab in your search bar, AI Mode. Tap on it and you're no longer just searching, you're talking to Google's in-house AI brain. So think ChatGPT, but fused directly into the world's most powerful search engine. This isn't just a cosmetic upgrade. This is Google betting big on an AI-first future, and it starts now. At its last conference, Google revealed AI Mode is now being rolled out to all users in the US with plans to go global. But here's the real kicker. They're not just adding AI, they're rewriting the rulebook on what search even is. Nick Fox, who leads Google's knowledge products, put it bluntly. He said, we invented a lot of this stuff for search. He's talking about transformers, yes, the T in ChatGPT, which Google developed back in 2017. So what does this transformer tech do now? Well, with features like deep search, your query is broken into mini tasks, researched, and synthesized into a rich summary. Then there's Project Mariner, which is a digital agent that can browse, book, and buy on your behalf. There's also Search Live, which is, it interacts with search like you're FaceTiming a super intelligent assistant. Google is turning search into something agentic, not just reactive, but proactive. And yes, it can even access your Gmail and past searches if you let it, to make your results more you. Which brings us to the elephant in the server room. Is this the end of the classic blue links? Google's executives say not yet, but let's be honest, AI overviews, they're already replacing your top search results, and with 1.5 billion people seeing them monthly, the blue link is looking more like a relic of the dial-up era. Website publishers are worried. If Google answers everything on its page, then will you ever click through? But Google insists, meanwhile, this is expansion, not extinction. They claim users do still click, and when they do, it's more meaningful, but that's easy to say when you're actually the gatekeeper. So is AI Mode the future of search or the end of the open internet? Well, one thing is clear, the world's most influential tech company isn't asking for permission, it's flipping the switch. And soon, the biggest question won't be about what you search, it'll be about who is searching for you. With that, let's turn our attention to the resurgence of COVID. Well, the recent surge in COVID-19 cases in some of the Asian countries like Thailand, Singapore, and China, also in Hong Kong, has rung an alarm bell in India too, as new cases of the infection have started to come to the fore recently. Now, according to the statistics displayed on the Ministry of Health and Families Welfare website, India currently has about 257 active COVID cases, with Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, and Karnataka reporting COVID cases. As far as Delhi is concerned, you must note that Delhi, Gujarat, Haryana, and Sikkim, these states have single-digit active cases as we speak. Meanwhile, a multi-pronged boycott of Turkey as well as Azerbaijan along with Pakistan, driven by public sentiment in India and also strengthened by social media campaigns, has already had an economic and diplomatic impact. In fact, reports also state that the clamor to ban the import of even apples from Turkey, which supports Pakistan in India's fight against terrorism, continues to grow louder. We did a deep dive for you earlier on the economic and diplomatic impact that spans trade, travel. Listen in. In the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack and during Operation Sindoor, diplomatic lines were clearly drawn. While India acted against terror, some nations, notably Turkey and Azerbaijan, chose to back Pakistan. Well, now India is responding not with rhetoric, but with decisive economic and commercial measures. So in this report, we look at how Indian businesses, government bodies, and consumers are gradually but firmly cutting ties with nations perceived to be unsupportive of India's national security concerns. On the 2nd of May, the Indian government formally halted all imports from Pakistan, including those routed through third countries. This move targets an estimated $500 million in indirect trade, with the aim to plug all channels of commerce that may be benefiting entities across the border. Following this, the Confederation of All India Traders also announced a halt to trade with Turkey and Azerbaijan. This is significant because trade between India and Turkey alone stood at over $10 billion in the financial year 2024. With this, the message is clear. Business as usual will not continue with countries that publicly support Pakistan in matters of cross-border terrorism. On the retail front, India's Central Consumer Protection Authority has directed e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart and Etsy to remove Pakistani flags and related merchandise from their listings. Meanwhile, Turkish brands are seeing reduced visibility in Indian e-commerce. Myntra has suspended sales of Turkish brands, while Reliance's Ajio has paused listings for brands like Cotton, LC Waikiki and Mavi. The aviation sector has also seen direct action. Turkish ground handling company Celebi has lost its security clearance in India, ending its operations across 9 airports, with the official reason being cited as national security. So tourism is another area seeing a noticeable dip. According to Make My Trip, bookings to Turkey and Azerbaijan have fallen by 60%, while cancellations have spiked by 250% in just a week. Travel portals like Ixigo, Easy Trip Planners and Cox & Kings have reportedly reduced or paused their promotions to these destinations. Make My Trip, meanwhile, advises against non-essential travel to the two countries. The impact has also reached the cultural space. The Confederation of All India Traders has appealed to Indian production houses to stop filming and conducting promotional activities in Turkey. Music platforms have started removing thumbnails featuring Pakistani artists. Meanwhile, Indian authorities have blocked YouTube channels of several Pakistani personalities, and the platform has confirmed receiving official requests for such action, with potential consequences for non-compliance. With this, India asserts that this isn't about bans or bluster. It's about influence and intent. India is choosing who to engage with more carefully. And for countries engaging with India, whether diplomatically, economically or culturally, the message is subtle but firm. Mutual respect matters and choices have consequences. Parmeshwar Bawa for NDTV World.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
The India-Pakistan border ceremony resumes for the public from today. Beating retreat ceremony will be happening at the Atari border. The
these are the visuals that are coming in. Let's go full frame with it. This is
For every big news story.
now from Jammu.
You can't defend the indefensible, Ruchira Kamboj, but that's what Pakistan has been doing for